Hey, what's up everybody? Ben here from blogwithben.com, and in this video you're going to learn how to make a WordPress website using WP Engine's managed WordPress web hosting. By the end of this video, you'll not only have a professional website and blog, but your site will be built on one of the most powerful web hosting platforms for WordPress users, which is WP Engine. Now, if you're new to WP Engine, I recommend you check out my in-depth video review where I do a deep dive into all the features and benefits of their web hosting, and you can access that in a link that I'll put in the video description below. However, if you're looking for a fast, reliable, and secure web host that is strictly for WordPress users, then this video is for you. Because in this tutorial, we're going to go step by step and set up your WP Engine web hosting, connect your domain, build your site with the new WordPress block editor, verify your site with Google so that you'll be found in the search results, and then launch your site using WP Engine's Go Live checklist. Now, real quick before we get started, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you found me. Here you're going to find professional step-by-step video tutorials and reviews where I literally take you from start to finish with 0 steps skipped and show you how to build, grow, and monetize a self-hosted WordPress blog or website. And if you find this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Blog with Ben YouTube channel. Doing so helps me keep this channel going and growing, and it also allows you to stay up to date with all the videos that come out in the future. So as always, thank you for your support. I also encourage you to sign up for my new free ebook titled The Ultimate WP Engine Blog Roadmap. This free guide is filled with a ton of tips, resources, step-by-step instructions, videos, and so much more to help you get the most out of this tutorial while also taking the guesswork out of how to set up your site with WP Engine. So to get your free copy of this guide, just visit blogwithben.com/roadmap, fill out the form, and you'll have instant access to this free guide. And I'll put a link to this page in the video description below titled Free Ebook. All right, with that being said, let's get started. Okay, the first step in this process is to purchase web hosting. And if you want to get 4 months of your web hosting for free, then I would greatly appreciate it if you would use my WP Engine affiliate link, which is blogwithben.com/WP Engine, and it's located in the video description below. And in order to access it within YouTube, if you click on where it says Show More below the video, that will open the video description where my affiliate link will be listed, and it should be the first one there. And clicking on that link will get you 4 months of free web hosting when you purchase an annual plan, or 20% off if you purchase a monthly plan. Either way, that link will save you some money on your web hosting and bring you to the plans page that you're looking at right now. And as you can see, WP Engine offers 3 different types of web hosting plans. There's Managed WordPress, which is what we'll be using in this step-by-step portion of the video. Then there's e-commerce solutions for Woo, which is for anyone looking to start a WooCommerce online store. And then there's advanced solutions. This is geared more towards larger businesses and agencies. Now, each plan comes with different features and prices, but for this tutorial, we'll be using the Managed WordPress plan. This is a startup plan that lets you host one website. You get 25,000 visits per month, 10 gigabytes of storage, and 50 gigabytes of bandwidth per month. This is all on top of the Managed WordPress speed, performance, expert support, and security features that already come with your hosting plan. Now, WP Engine gives you the ability to tailor each plan to your specific needs by sliding this Build Your Plan lever. And as you do, you'll see that it lets you add more sites, visits, and storage to your plan. But it does also increase your monthly cost as well. Keep that in mind if you're looking to build a bigger plan. There are additional add-ons that you can include in your plan as well. We're not going to be using them in this tutorial, but you can select the additional features to include in your plan here. Just keep in mind that there's a cost associated with these add-ons. Again, just to recap, the Managed WordPress Startup Plan is only $20 per month billed annually, which means you'll pay $240 upfront for the entire year. Now, you're getting 4 months free, and remember, you have a 60-day money-back guarantee as well, so you could test out WP Engine risk-free for 2 whole months. Now, if you don't think you'll have your site for the entire year for some reason, or maybe you don't have the budget for $240 at the moment, you can pay month by month instead of paying for the full year. Simply select monthly from this drop-down menu, and you'll be presented with the monthly price, which is a little more than $24 per month. But again, that's billed each month instead of a lump sum for the entire year. And again, for this example, I'm purchasing a month-to-month plan because this is just a demo site and I won't be keeping it up for the entire year. But if you want your first 4 months of web hosting free, then I recommend purchasing the annual plan. And then once you've settled on your hosting plan, click the Buy Now button. Next, I'll walk you through the complete setup process. We'll go over the back end of the WP Engine user portal, set up your domain, and get WordPress up and running. There are quite a few steps before you launch your site and go live with WP Engine, and I'll walk you through each one of those steps right now to ensure that you have a solid digital foundation in place so that you can launch with confidence. Alright, first things first, I'm going to walk you through the checkout process. And again, I'm purchasing the monthly startup plan, and the Blog with Ben discount should be applied to your plan if you used my affiliate link. If it isn't, enter the coupon code BLOGWITHBEN20 in the field provided and click the Apply button. This will apply the discount and save you some money on your hosting. Below that are the hosting add-ons, and we briefly went over these during the review, but we won't be adding any of them to this site. That's not to say that they aren't worth it. If you have the budget for them, I highly recommend checking them out, but if you're just starting out with a smaller site, then you can hold off on these and add them later as you grow. Next, if you scroll down, you'll need to create your account. This is pretty straightforward, but one thing I do want to point out is the data center. It's the last one on the list, and you'll want to choose the one that's closest to you. I'm in the US, so I'm leaving it as the United States of America, but if you're outside the US, you'll want to choose the data center that's closest to you geographically. Okay, after you've filled everything out, go ahead and click the Continue to Payment button. And next is where you'll enter your billing info. This is pretty straightforward as well. You're just going to enter the payment info, and I'm going to blur mine out for security purposes, obviously, but whenever you're ready to pay and filled everything out, go ahead and check the box stating that you've read and agreed to the terms of service and privacy policy. They're pretty straightforward, but if you really want to read through them, you can click on either one of those hyperlinks to see the actual legal copy. Then when you're ready to pay, click the Pay Now button, and your payment will begin processing. This may take a few seconds to go through, so just sit tight while your payment is being processed. And we'll give it a few more seconds. And there we go, success. So after your payment goes through, you'll be taken to the thank you page where all of your cart and account details will be listed. Then one important thing to point out here is that you'll need to check the email that you signed up with in about 10 minutes. WP Engine will be sending you your credentials and login info in order to activate your account. So if you want, go ahead and pause this video for 10 minutes, and when you come back, check your inbox for an email titled Activate Your WP Engine Account. It'll look like this, and all you'll do is click the button within the email that says Activate Your Account. And then you'll be prompted to create your password. So in the fields provided, create your account's new password. And click the Create My Account button. And after a few moments, you'll be taken to your WP Engine user portal. Now, there may be some onboarding questions presented to you. These aren't required, but for the sake of the tutorial, we'll walk through them really quick. So basically, WP Engine has these 4 onboarding steps that have a couple questions to help you get started. And the first question asks which best describes your role. And all you're going to do is select from one of the options using the drop-down menu there. And these are pretty corporate and professional roles, but if you're a blogger or YouTuber like me, the role of a marketer will work. So I'll select that from the list and click the Next button. The next question is asking you who you work for. Again, select from one of the following options. I work for myself full-time, so I'll select that and click the Next button. Then WP Engine wants to know about your site. First, they ask if you're building a new WordPress site or migrating an existing one. Again, for this tutorial, I'm creating a brand new site, so I'll select Building a New Site. Then which best describes the type of site you're creating. And in this video, I'll be creating a blog, but select the type of site that best describes what you'll be creating and click the Next button. And the last question, how familiar are you with WordPress? So from the drop-down menu, select your level of expertise and click the Finish button. And your profile is complete. Then WP Engine gives you the option to invite additional users to your account. This is helpful if you have a team or you're working in some sort of agency setting, but like I said, for this tutorial, we're building this site on our own, so no need to add new users. So go ahead and click the I'll do this later button to move on. All right, now it's time to add a new site to this account. So within the Add a New Site section, click the Add Now button. Then for this example, I'll be creating a site for myself. I assume you are as well, so select this site as mine. And then I'm starting with a blank site, so I'll make sure that that first option is selected. This will add an empty WordPress site pre-installed with a Genesis theme that I'll be showing you how to set up a little later on. And then click the Next button. Now it's time to actually add the site and its environment. And the way to do that is to first give your site a name. This name is only used in the back end of WP Engine, but it can be changed later on if needed. So within the site name field, type the desired name of your site. And as you do, you'll see that WP Engine automatically uses the site name within the environment name field. And if you're scratching your head right now, no worries, I'll explain what the environment is in a few seconds. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that your environment name can't be changed after you set it. So if you plan on changing your site's name, just know that you won't be able to change the environment name. But also keep in mind that both of these names won't be viewable to your site's visitors. So don't put too much stock into these names. Okay, next you'll need to select your environment type. And this is one of the really cool benefits of WP Engine that you don't typically see from other web hosts. And that's the ability to have dev, staging, and production environments. Now, for this tutorial, I'm going to be building my site on the production environment, which is a live site. However, if you're unsure about your launch date or if you want to test things out before putting your site out there for the world to see, you can use the dev or staging environments. Just know that if you do, there will be some additional steps in order to move your site from dev and staging to production. Either way, for the sake of time and to keep things simple, I'm just going to be building this site in the production environment. So select the environment that you want to use and click the Add Site button. You'll then be taken to the My Sites section of your WP Engine user portal dashboard. This is where you can manage all of your sites that are hosted on WP Engine, and you should see that the site you just created will be listed here. Now, please note that your site is still in the process of being built. This essentially means that WordPress is being installed, and this takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and you'll receive an other email when it's ready. So feel free to pause the video again, grab yourself a snack, or take a nice walk outside, weather permitting obviously, and come back in about 10 and 15 minutes, and then check your inbox for an email titled, "Your WP Engine site is ready." Now, within this email, they give you the ability to set your WordPress admin password, but in this tutorial, we're going to set that up within WP Engine. So all you'll do here is click the Access via User Portal button. And this will take you to your production environment dashboard. I know it may seem like a lot at first, but it's pretty easy to navigate once you get familiar with where everything is. So let's take a closer look. First, there's a production environment overview. This gives you a snapshot of the environment stats that are important to your site's overall health. It's pretty blank right now, but once we start going, you'll be able to access your domain settings, update WordPress, and view your site's visitor count, bandwidth, and storage stats all from right here. Next is the environment sidebar menu, and this houses the various sections of the production environment dashboard, and we'll touch on these in just a few moments. Towards the top is the environment toggle feature, WordPress admin login, and PHP My Admin login. This lets you switch environments, log into WordPress, and log into your PHP My Admin dashboard. Then above that is a search bar that lets you search through the sites that you're hosting on WP Engine. This is useful if you have multiple sites. Then in the upper right corner is where you can get support by clicking on that help icon, as well as access to your profile info by clicking on your name. And speaking of support, you can access WP Engine's virtual assistant by clicking on the chat icon in the bottom right corner of your screen. This is also how you can chat with a real person on their support team as well. Just type the word support in the chat box and you'll be connected to an actual human. Remember, this is one of the huge selling points for me. WP Engine's support team was extremely knowledgeable and helpful when I ran into issues with my site, so I highly recommend that you use this feature if you have any questions whatsoever. Finally, we have the user portal sidebar, and this houses the various sections of your WP Engine user portal dashboard, which was where we just were when we added our site. And this is where you can access your sites, add users to your account, manage add-ons, review your billing and invoices, get helpful resources, and access your support pin. So hopefully that was helpful. I know it can seem like a whirlwind whenever you're brand new to WP Engine, but trust me, as you get going, you'll start to get very familiar with where everything is and how it works. And coming from someone who has years of experience with WordPress, this was intimidating to me when I first started building my site. But as I got comfortable with the dashboards, it became very intuitive and easy to navigate. And speaking of that, let me show you how to get back to the WP Engine user portal dashboard. So we're currently in the environment dashboard, but if you click on sites within the sidebar menu on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll be taken back to your WP Engine user portal dashboard, specifically the site management section. And since we're here, let's take a closer look at this section of your dashboard. So first we have the site overview and listing. This is where you can manage all of the sites hosted on your WP Engine account. You can add, transfer, and update sites here. You can also access the production environment dashboard and log into WordPress from here as well. And I'll show you how to do that in a few seconds. Now, this dashboard will also be used to give you notices about various updates that need your attention. For example, this notice alerts you to update your WP Engine's advanced network. And again, I'll show you how to take care of this in just a bit, but this dashboard is where you'll be notified of important updates for your site and account. Next, we have your site's temporary domain, which is actually a subdomain, but this is the environment name that you created during the Add a Site portion of the tutorial. And I know it looks odd right now, but this will be replaced with your primary domain that we'll set up a little later on in the video. Either way, clicking on this domain will take you to the front end of your site. Next, you have the ability to log into WordPress by clicking the WP Admin button. And we'll obviously be using WordPress quite a bit, so just make a mental note that you can log into the back end of your WordPress account by clicking this button. Finally, we have your environment name. And clicking on this is how you'll access your production environment dashboard. This is probably the only gripe that I have with WP Engine because I feel like this should be a button instead of just your environment name. It's not a big deal, but when I was brand new to this dashboard, I had to do some digging in order to learn my way around. But either way, anytime you need to get back to your environment dashboard, this is how you'll do that. Just click on the environment name. So there we go. Hopefully you have a better idea of how to navigate the WP Engine user portal. And as I said, it may seem like a lot at first, but once you get used to it and you start to become more familiar with where everything is and how things work, you'll be a pro in no time. All right, next, let's take a look at WP Engine's Go Live checklist and review the necessary steps you'll need to take in order to launch your site. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to take your site live. And the process of going live refers to the process of building out your website or blog and making it publicly accessible. Now, WP Engine has made it so that you can easily track these steps with the Go Live checklist. This is a helpful guide that ensures you're completing all of the optimal tasks for a site launch. And to access the Go Live checklist, you could either click the See the Checklist button in the upper right corner of your dashboard, or go to the Live Checklist menu item in the dashboard sidebar. Both of those will take you to the Go Live checklist. And as you can see, this Go Live Connect and Secure checklist is compiled of 5 tasks. And we'll go through each of these tasks in greater detail throughout the video, but you can always come back here and track your progress. Also, when a task has been completed, it'll be marked with a green check mark. Now, there are additional checklists below that you could go through if you'd like, but for this video, we're just going to focus on the Go Live checklist. That's the most important one. All right, so the first step in the checklist is to add your domain and set it as the primary domain. This means that your site will load using your own custom domain instead of the temporary domain. Now, WP Engine recommends that you build your site before going live, and I agree with that, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be going live with your domain prior to building your site. We'll go through the Go Live checklist, build your site on WordPress, and then officially launch. If you don't want to go live just yet, feel free to log into WordPress now and begin building your site. Then when you're ready to make your domain live, come back and follow these domain steps that we're about to go through. But like I said, we're going to go through these steps now and add your domain. So with that being said, let's move on and add your primary domain. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to go through the process of adding your primary domain to your site. By default, WP Engine starts you off with the temporary subdomain, and you can view that temporary subdomain by going back to your site management section of your user portal dashboard by clicking on Sites within the sidebar menu on the left-hand side of the screen. And then from here, you could see that your site is currently using the WP Engine subdomain. Now, you obviously don't want that to be your primary domain, so let me show you how to add and connect a toplevel.com domain to your WP Engine site. So the first step in the process is to purchase a domain. And for this tutorial, we'll be using Namecheap. They're one of the most affordable domain registrars out there and offer some great deals for new customers. So visit blogwithben.com/Namecheap, and I'll put the link below in the important links doc. And I think this is the first time we've discussed the important links doc, so let me go over it really quick. So it's basically a Google Doc that lists all of the important links we'll use throughout the video. And all you'll do to access it is click the link in the video description below titled Important Links, and that'll take you to the Google Doc. Then click the Namecheap link, and that will give you access to Namecheap's new customer deal so that you could save some money on your domain, which is only about $7 for the year. Okay, so once you visit my Namecheap affiliate link, you'll be taken to their landing page where first you'll want to click this Newcom698 promo code button. This will automatically copy it so that you can apply it during the checkout process. Next, it's time to search for your .com domain. So in the search field, type out your desired domain name. And I recommend typing out the entire domain like this. Then click the search button. And if your domain is available, you'll see it listed above with a check mark next to it. Now, if it isn't available, I recommend you keep searching for an alternative domain. You may need to get creative, but I'm confident you'll find one that fits your needs. Okay, after you've settled on a domain and it's available, click the Add to Cart button. Then click the Checkout button towards the bottom of the screen. Then I recommend keeping the domain registration 1-year renewal and domain privacy protection turned on. This ensures that your domain stays up and running without any interruptions and that your privacy is protected. Anytime you purchase a domain, legally your contact info is added to the Whois directory, which means anyone could potentially access that info. But the domain privacy protection blocks that and keeps your information private. So I recommend keeping that on. Plus, it's free forever, which is really cool. Other domain registrars typically charge you for that domain privacy. Then below that are some additional add-ons that you can check out if you want. We don't really need them in this video because Cloudflare will be handling a lot of the DNS and SSL tasks for our domain. However, if you need an email address for your domain, I do recommend checking out Namecheap's professional email. We're not going to go over the steps to set up your email in this video, but I will have a video tutorial on that in the near future. Either way, if you're planning on having a professional email for your domain, this is the way to go. Alright, next, apply the promo code Newcom698 in the promo code field and click the Apply button. And there we go. You should get a notification that the coupon code was successfully added. Then click the Confirm Order button, and then you'll be taken through the account setup and billing process. Again, this is pretty straightforward. For the account setup, you'll enter your contact info, but as you do that, one thing to pay attention to is the job title section. If you're setting this domain up for yourself, be sure to uncheck that box next to where it says you're registering on behalf of a company. Then go ahead and finish filling out your contact info. I'm going to blur this out for security purposes really quick, and then click the Continue button when you're done filling it out. Next is the Whois contact info, and we briefly discussed this earlier, but legally when you purchase a domain, you need to submit your contact info to this database, and by default, they'll use the address that you used in your account setup, so review this info to ensure it's correct. Then below, make sure you have the domain privacy box checked. This keeps all of this info private within the database. And then I also recommend saving this configuration so that if you purchase other domains in the future, you won't have to fill this out again. All right, we're all set here, so go ahead and click the Continue button. And that'll take you to the payment method. Again, pretty straightforward. Just enter your payment info. You can pay by credit card or PayPal. You can also find the receipt and auto renew details towards the bottom of the screen, so double check and make sure those are correct. Now for this example, I'm purchasing a demo domain, so I'm not going to be auto renewing it. However, if you are purchasing your real domain for your real site, which I assume you are, I recommend checking both of these boxes so that there isn't any disruption in your service. And once you're done filling everything out, click the Continue button. Then review your order and payment details. Again, we're getting a toplevel.com domain with privacy protection for only $7.16. That's actually a really good deal. Then to process your order, click the Pay Now button. And then it may take about 30 seconds for your order to fully process, so just sit tight really quick and don't navigate away from this page. If you do leave the page, it'll cancel your order, just FYI. Now, if for any reason nothing is happening on this page, you can click this link to refresh the page manually. But once it's done processing, it'll take you to the thank you page, which gives you your purchase summary and details. And let's sit tight just for a few more quick seconds while it's processing. And there we go. Now, before we move on, if this is your first time purchasing a domain from Namecheap and registering with the Whois database, you'll need to verify your contact info and consent to Namecheap's registration agreement, which will be emailed to you. This is extremely important because if you don't do this, your domain will be suspended and your site will be taken down. So check your inbox for an email titled Immediate Verification Required for your domains. It'll come from Namecheap support. Then simply click the link within that email to verify your email address and agree to the registration agreement. And you should be taken to the success page once you do, letting you know that your email address has been successfully verified. You can now move forward with the domain and add it to WP Engine. Okay, so before we purchased our domain name, we left off at our WP Engine user portal dashboard. But in order to update the domain within WP Engine, you'll need to access your WP Engine environment dashboard. So click your environment name listed here, and this will bring you to the environment dashboard. Then from here, in order to access your domain management menu, within the sidebar menu, click on where it says Domains. And this will bring you to the domain management section of your WP Engine account. This is where you can manage and configure your domains associated with your site. By default, you'll see 2 subdomains listed here, and without getting into the weeds, these are just temporary and we'll replace them with the primary domain that we just purchased from Namecheap. So the first thing we're going to do is add the new domain that we just purchased to our WP Engine account. So go ahead and click the Add Domain button. Then we obviously just purchased our domain, so leave that option selected and enter your domain in the field provided like so. Then click the Next button. And just like that, your domain has been added to your WP Engine account. Next, we'll need to manually update your domain's DNS. And don't worry, I'm going to walk you through that process step by step as well. So go ahead and click the Next button to move on. Then the same thing goes for the www version of your domain. We'll handle the DNS settings in a few moments, so you can go ahead and click the Next button again. And voila, your domain has been added to your WP Engine account. Now you're probably noticing that there are 2 versions of the domain. There's a www version and a non-www version. They both have an upgraded network status notification next to them. This is normal and we'll address the 2 domains in just a few moments, but first, let's upgrade the network. Now this is a free upgrade that will improve your site's overall performance and security, and we'll need to do this for both versions of the domain. And starting with the non-www version, let's click that upgrade network link. And then all you're going to do is click the Enable Now button. And once the network has been updated, you'll be presented with your CNAME record and A records. This is what you're going to use to point your DNS and connect the domain to your WP Engine account. Again, if you're scratching your head right now, no worries. This will all make sense in a few moments. Okay, let's do the same thing for the www version of the domain. So click the I'm finished here button. And this time we're going to do the exact same steps for the www version of the domain. So once again, click the upgrade network link and then follow the exact same steps. Click the enable now button. And then the I'm finished button. And there we go. Then if you scroll down to the DNS details section, you'll see that the advanced network has been added, and clicking on that tab will give you the CNAME and A records needed in order to point your DNS and configure your domain to this faster network. But before we configure the DNS settings, we'll need to update WordPress with the domain that we just added to WP Engine. This is a super quick process, but it's extremely important because if we skip this step, it'll cause some issues with the domain and potentially break your site. So next, let's update your WordPress URL. Okay, now that you've added your domain to your WP Engine account and updated to the advanced network, it's time to update your WordPress URL. Updating your WordPress URL is required on any WordPress host, and it tells the WordPress software which domain should show up in the browser. This is an important step and prevents issues with redirects and even SEO. And this will be handled in your WordPress dashboard. So, towards the top of the screen, click on the WP Admin button. And this will log you into WordPress and take you to your WordPress dashboard. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. We'll go over it in greater detail, but for now, we need to make one small tweak in the general settings. So within the sidebar menu of your dashboard on the left-hand side of the screen, hover your mouse over Settings and click on General. Then from here, the change you're going to make is within the WordPress address URL and site address URL fields. They're currently both displaying the temporary WP Engine subdomain, but you'll want to swap both of those out with your new domain that you just purchased from Namecheap. So instead of demoblog2.wpengine.com, I'll replace it with my new domain, blogdemotimevideo.com, and I'll do that for both URLs. And there we go. Then click the Save Changes button at the bottom of the screen. And when you do, it may take some time to process, so just sit tight and don't close the screen. And when you make this change, you're going to be logged out of WordPress. And we'll log back in after we configure the domain on the WP Engine side of things. So with that being said, let's configure and point the DNS for your new domain. So let's head back to our domain management page in WP Engine. And if you look at the status of your domain, you'll see that the current status has this notice stating that you need to point your DNS for each domain. And if you're new to all this, DNS stands for Domain Name System, and it's basically how your domain will display your WordPress site when someone visits your domain on their browser. And it can all seem somewhat technical if you're new to the subject, but I'm here to tell you that once you know what to do, it's really quite simple. The hardest part is just knowing what steps to take. So, with that being said, let me show you those steps and point your DNS. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to point your DNS for your domain. And the way we're going to handle that is through Cloudflare. So visit cloudflare.com, and I've linked to it in the important links doc that you can access in the video description below. And from here, it's time to update your DNS. This will allow your web traffic to flow from your domain to your WordPress blog or website hosted on WP Engine. And the way we're going to accomplish this is through Cloudflare and CNAME flattening. And if you're brand new to all this, I'm sure you're scratching your head right now, but trust me, it's pretty simple to set up once you know where to go and what to do. This is WP Engine's recommendation for DNS configuration, as it makes adding supplementary features through Cloudflare down the road far easier. Cloudflare has a free plan that not only lets you configure your DNS settings, but provides a free SSL certificate, a free CDN, extra security protection, and much more. Cloudflare's free plan gives you all the basics you need to protect and accelerate your site. So to get started, let's sign up for a free Cloudflare account. So go ahead and click Sign Up in the upper right corner of the home page. And then you'll need to create a free Cloudflare account in order to access their products. So in the fields provided, enter the email address that you want associated with the account and create your password. Then once you've done that, click the Create Account button. Then for this tutorial, we'll be using Cloudflare. So within the Cloudflare option, click the Get Started button. Next, you'll need to enter the site that you want to connect to Cloudflare. So within that field, enter the URL of your site like so. And don't use the www version, just enter the domain and then click the Add Site button. Then you'll be taken to the Select Your Plan page. Now, Cloudflare does offer some paid plans, and by all means, if you have the budget for them, I highly recommend getting them. But for this tutorial, we'll be using the free plan. It still has a ton of great benefits to help speed up and protect your site. So go ahead and click on the free plan to select it, and then click the Continue button. And in a few moments, you'll be taken to your site's DNS management dashboard. This is what we'll be updating in a few moments to ensure that your WP Engine WordPress site connects to your domain from Namecheap. But before we do that, I recommend that you verify your email address with Cloudflare. So head over to your inbox again and look for an email titled Cloudflare, please verify your email address, and then click the link provided. Then once your email has been verified, click the Continue to Dashboard link. Then back at Cloudflare, click on your site that you just added. And this will bring you to your site's Cloudflare Overview dashboard. This is like home base for your site's Cloudflare account. Next, it's time to update your DNS details. So within the sidebar menu, click on where it says DNS. And this will bring you to your DNS management dashboard. And the first step in the process is to delete the A record. It should be the first one listed there. Simply open it by clicking Edit, and then click the Delete button. And you may get a pop-up asking you if you're sure you want to delete it. We are, so go ahead and click the Delete button again. And then now that that's been removed, it's time to add a brand new CNAME record. So this time, click the Add Record button. Then, for the type, click that drop-down menu and select CNAME. Then, in the name field, use the @ symbol. Next is the target, and for this, you'll want to head back to your WP Engine domain management page and scroll down to the DNS details. Then make sure that you have the Advanced Network tab open and click that little icon next to the CNAME to copy it. This is the target that we want. So go ahead and copy that CNAME. There we go. Then head back to Cloudflare and paste it within the target field. Then click the Save button. And the new CNAME record for the root domain has been added. Next, you'll want to update the target for the www CNAME record. It should be directly below the new CNAME record. And all you're going to do is click Edit to open the settings. And then within the target field, replace the Namecheap target with the WP Engine CNAME. It'll be the same one you just copied from your WP Engine advanced record. Then click the Save button. And now you should see your two new CNAME records for your root and www versions of your domain. Okay, now that we've updated the CNAME records, it's time to update the name servers within Namecheap. This will help connect your URLs with the IP address of the web servers. So head over to your Namecheap account and open your domain management page. And the way to get there is within your primary nav, hover your mouse over Account and click on Domain List. Then find the domain that you want to use for your WP Engine site and click the Manage button. Then within your domain settings, find the Name Servers section and click that drop-down menu and select Custom DNS. After you do that, it'll look like this. Custom DNS will be in the drop-down, and you'll have two spots for your new name servers, Name Server 1 and Name Server 2. This is where you'll add the name servers from Cloudflare. So let's head back to your Cloudflare DNS management dashboard and then find the Cloudflare name servers. They'll be located just below your DNS settings. And all you're going to do is copy and paste the Cloudflare name servers to the Namecheap name servers one by one. So for name server 1, highlight and copy the first name server listed there, and then head back to Namecheap, and within the name server 1 field, paste that name server from Cloudflare like so. Then do the exact same thing for name server 2, head back to Namecheap, highlight and copy that second name server, and then paste it within the name server 2 field in Namecheap. Then don't forget to click this little green check mark to save your changes. And just like that, the name servers have been updated. Now keep in mind that DNS updates may take up to 48 hours to take effect. So one thing you can do, if you head back to your WP Engine domain management page, and next to your domains, there will be these three little dots. Clicking on them will open some more options for your domain. One of them being to check the status. This will tell WP Engine to check the status of the connection and can help expedite the process. Then go ahead and follow the same steps to check the status for the www version of your domain. Then mine took about 15 minutes to propagate, but feel free to pause the video, and when you come back, refresh the page, and as you do, you should see the domain status change from the orange warning to this green lightning bolt, letting you know that your domain is running at optimal efficiency. Then the last thing we're going to do with the domain is to set it as the primary domain. So again, within the non-www version of your domains, click that three-dot icon, and this time select Set as Primary. And just like that, you now have a primary domain with proper DNS configuration. Alright, moving on. Next, let me show you how to set up domain level redirects, as well as your HTTPS redirect. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to go over redirects. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that these three domains are still domains that can accept web traffic. So it's best practice to redirect the remaining domains to your primary domain. And if you're new to redirects, that just means that if someone were to click on either one of these domains, it would take them to your primary domain. However, when we updated our WordPress URL settings, I found that WordPress redirects all traffic to the primary domain. And due to this, you may not need to set the domain level redirect in WP Engine. So, what I recommend doing is waiting another 48 hours before creating redirects in WP Engine. Then, if you come back and put these domains into a browser and they don't redirect to your primary domain after 48 hours, you'll need to implement the domain level redirect within WP Engine. And all you'll do is click this three-dot icon next to each domain and select Add Redirect. Then from here, you'll set where the domain should redirect to. Again, you'll want to select your primary domain, which will always be the non-www version. Then click the Save Changes button, and the redirect will be set, and now all traffic to the domain will be redirected to the primary domain. Again, I found that WordPress automatically handles these redirects on the WordPress side of things, so wait 48 hours before seeing whether or not you need to complete this task. Just visit each one of these domains, and if they take you to your primary domain after 48 hours, you don't need to do what I just showed you. Also, if you have any issues or questions about these redirects, please visit the WP Engine chat support. Just click this icon in the bottom right corner of the screen, and this will initially open the WP Engine Virtual Assistant. However, if you want to speak with an actual support representative or an actual human being, simply type the word support in the chat box and then confirm that you want to connect with an actual agent, and you'll be connected with one of WP Engine's WordPress experts. And I used their support multiple times whenever I ran into some issues when I was first testing and QAing WP Engine, and they helped me out a ton. So I highly recommend using their chat support if you need some extra help. Then since we're on the topic of redirects, there is one redirect that you do need to do right now, and that's the HTTPS redirect. This will be handled in Cloudflare. So let's head back to your Cloudflare account, and from your dashboard, click on where it says SSL/TLS, and then select Edge Certificates from the dropdown. And if you recall, Cloudflare gives you a free SSL certificate, which means that your site will use the HTTPS prefix instead of HTTP. And you can see whether or not your SSL is enabled here. Mine currently is active. However, if yours isn't active, you'll just need to flip a switch to turn it on. And this is important for a lot of reasons, but just know that it's pretty much required nowadays for your domain to have the HTTPS prefix. So to ensure that your domain always displays HTTPS, find where it says always use HTTPS and flip that switch on. It'll be green when it's on, and this will redirect all traffic to the HTTPS version of your domain. All right, believe it or not, you're almost done with the Go Live checklist. So let's head back to our WP Engine dashboard. And from here, click on Go Live checklist within the sidebar menu on the left-hand side of the screen. And look at that. All of the tasks in the Connect and Secure Go Live checklist are marked with a green check mark, meaning they've been successfully completed. Now, if some of your tasks aren't marked as completed, but you know you followed along and completed those steps, give it about 24 hours or so. Sometimes with the domains in the SSL, it takes a little extra time to propagate. Plus, when we visit our site in a bit, I'll show you the things to look for to ensure that these steps have been completed correctly. Then the last thing I want to go over before moving on is the seamless login. This is a new feature that allows you to log into your WordPress environments through the WP Engine user portal with just one click. And with seamless login, there's no need to remember a separate set of credentials for each of your WP Engine and WordPress websites. Now, seamless login was automatically implemented and enabled when I first signed up for WP Engine, as it should have been for you, but if you're not seeing a green check mark here, let me show you how to turn this feature on really quick. So first, head over to your WP Engine user profile by clicking on your name in the upper right corner of the screen, and then select Profile from that dropdown. Then from here, select Seamless Login from the Profile menu, and then if the action is set to Disable, this means that it's currently enabled. However, if you see Enable here, just click on that link to turn the seamless login on. All right, with that being said, you are now officially live. Nice work. Okay, so let's head back to the user portal really quick. So within the sidebar menu on the left-hand side of the screen, click on Sites. And again, I just want to say that you've done an awesome job so far. I know that this process may seem like a lot if you're brand new, but you did it, and you can now move on to the WordPress setup portion of the tutorial. So next, let's start to build your site in WordPress. In this section of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up your WordPress site for success. Not only will you be getting some hands-on experience with your WordPress dashboard, but you'll also be laying the foundation for a successful blog or website. But first, let's log into WordPress. And you have a few ways to do that. So anytime you need to access the backend of your WordPress site, you'll do so through the WP admin buttons in your WP Engine dashboard. And you have two of them. One located here in your user portal dashboard. And then if we head back to your environment dashboard by clicking on the environment name, you can access the backend of WordPress by clicking this WP admin button as well. Both of those buttons will take you to what is commonly referred to as your WordPress dashboard. And it may take a few seconds to load if this is your first time accessing it, so just sit tight. And what you're looking at right now is your WordPress dashboard. We were briefly here when we updated the WordPress URLs, but we just stopped by and we didn't really get to know the place. So let me give you a quick tour so you can get a better idea of where things are and how to get around. So anytime you need to make a change to your blog or website, you're going to handle most of those changes here in WordPress. This is like home base for the content and design of your site, and it's where we'll be making most of the updates. And again, if this is your first time in WordPress, I know it can look like a lot, but trust me, once you get familiar with where everything is, it becomes second nature and it's very easy to understand. Now, your WordPress dashboard is essentially two parts, and depending on when you're viewing this video, please keep in mind that it's possible that some things may have changed, but as of December 2022, the WordPress dashboard looks like this. It contains a toolbar at the top of the screen along with the sidebar menu items. And then towards the center of the screen, you'll see the dashboard. Then anytime you want to go to the front end of your site, meaning what people will see when they visit your domain, hover your mouse over this little home icon in the upper left corner of the screen and click on Visit Site. It currently uses your name followed by site, so mine says Ben Cummings Site, but we'll change this when we update your site title in a few moments. Either way, hover your mouse over the home site title and click on Visit Site. And this will take you to your site's homepage. Now, one thing to point out is that we obviously have some work to do, but if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see the WordPress admin toolbar is still there. This will only display if you're logged into WordPress. Your site's visitors will not see this. But this is a good way to know whenever you're logged into WordPress, and it's also how you'll navigate back to your WordPress dashboard. Simply hover your mouse over the site title and click on Dashboard. Now, you'll obviously get more familiar with your WordPress dashboard as we begin building your site, but let me show you another dashboard that you can access here. So this time, if you click on WP Engine within the sidebar on the left-hand side of the screen, this will take you to a WP Engine dashboard within your WordPress dashboard. This is where you can access some additional info and configure the SFTP caching display and some site settings. You can also visit the WP Engine support page or go to your WP Engine user portal by clicking these buttons. Then if you look towards the top of the WordPress admin toolbar, there are some WP Engine quick links. Hovering your mouse over this will give you a drop-down menu of some of the links that you can quickly access instead of having to navigate back to the dashboard. Okay, that's going to do it for the WP Engine dashboard. And to get back to your WordPress dashboard on the left-hand side of the screen in the sidebar menu, simply hover your mouse over Dashboard and click on Home. And this will take you back to your WordPress dashboard. All right, so that's going to do it for the dashboard tour. Hopefully you found that helpful and have a better idea of how to get around. But next, it's time to start piecing together your digital foundation so that you could set yourself up for success when it comes time to officially launch your website or blog. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to set up your WordPress site, and I'm going to give you 5 tips that I always do before I start any type of WordPress blog or website. Now, these tips are merely recommendations, and by no means do you have to set up your blog or site exactly as I do, but from my experience, these tips have been very beneficial to my site's overall growth strategy, and they've helped me achieve a much stronger WordPress foundation in the process. So in a few moments, I'm going to walk you through those tips and show you the 5 things I always do before I start a blog or website. But first, let's take a closer look at what those 5 things are. First, we're going to check the permalink settings. This is where we'll check the permalink structure to ensure that they are SEO friendly. This will improve the aesthetics, usability, and forward compatibility of your links. If you're shaking your head right now, no worries. We're going to go over it in just a few moments. Next, we're going to update the site title and tagline. By default, WordPress pre-names your site and predetermines your tagline, and this tip will show you how to personalize your site title and tagline so that it coincides with your blog and website's content. The third tip is to update the display name, and this is where I'll show you how to change the way your name is displayed whenever you author a blog post. This gives you some flexibility when it comes to how your name is publicly displayed online. Next, you're going to create your Gravatar. This is where we'll update the profile and image that will be used for your Gravatar account. We'll get into the specifics of why it's important a little later on in the video, but your Gravatar is a key component to your WordPress platform. And then finally, we're going to install the recommended plugins. I always try to stay away from adding too many plugins to my sites, but there are a few plugins that I always recommend adding to your WordPress infrastructure. And this tip will cover those plugins that I always use before I start any type of WordPress blog or website. So with that being said, let's start with the first recommendation, which is to review and set up the permalink structure of your site. Now, if you're brand new to blogging, you're probably unfamiliar with what a permalink is, so let me give you a quick rundown of what permalinks are and why they're important. By definition, a permalink is a static hyperlink to a particular web page or blog post. All it really is, though, is it's the URL of the content that you're publishing on your site. These are the links that you're going to be sharing with the world whenever you want to share your content, and these are the URLs that people will enter into their browsers whenever they want to view one of your pages or posts. And that's why it's very important for these links to be set up properly. For example, by default, your permalinks look like this. It's not very user-friendly, and it's horrible for SEO. However, if you use the post name setting, the permalink will use your page or post title and the link. Again, having the title and the URL structure is good for SEO, and it's a common practice among bloggers and site owners. So to ensure that your permalink settings are set up like this, go to your WordPress dashboard, and within the sidebar on the left-hand side of the screen, hover your mouse over Settings and click on Permalinks. And this will bring you to the permalink settings menu. And as you can see, WordPress gives you a few options when it comes to how to structure your permalinks, and by default, your permalink structure is set to plain. This isn't very user-friendly or SEO-friendly, and again, I recommend changing it to post name. This uses your post or page titles in the permalink, and it has SEO benefits to it as well. So go ahead and select post name from the list, and then click the Save Changes button to make these changes live. And you should get a notification letting you know that the permalink structure has been updated, and now all of your links going forward will use this URL structure. And you'll be able to see this update in action when we start creating different pages and blog posts for your site. All right, moving on to the next tip, and that's to update your site title and tagline. So your site title and tagline are used in a few different places on your site. One is in the tab of the browser, and if we fast forward to the completed site, you can see what I'm talking about. The site title and tagline help the reader distinguish which tab is what, and it creates a good user experience. And as you can see, the tab on our finished site displays a unique site title and tagline. It's also used in the search engine snippets for your search results. This is very important when it comes to SEO, and it also creates a good user experience. So we'll definitely want to change it. All right, so back at WordPress, in order to change the site title, you'll need to access your WordPress general settings by hovering your mouse over Settings and clicking on General. And that will bring you to your general settings page. And if you look towards the top of the screen, you can see the site title and tagline default settings. The title will use your actual name or whatever you use to create your WP Engine account. And the tagline will be your superpowered WP Engine site. So to update it as something that coincides with your site's content, in the text box next to site title, type in the preferred title of your blog or website. And for this example, I'm creating a fitness blog, so I'll title it Ignite Fitness. Then directly below that, add a catchy tagline. And I'll have it say, get fit and have fun. All right, we're all set there. So scroll down to the bottom of the screen and click the Save Changes button. And your site title and tagline are now updated. You should get a notification that the settings have been saved. Then if you look in the upper left corner of your WordPress dashboard, you'll see that the site title has actually been updated in the back end of WordPress as well. And then if you visit the front end of your site by hovering your mouse over the site title and clicking on Visit Site, you'll see that the theme uses the site title and tagline in the header, and it's been updated here as well. Now remember, this new site title and tagline are also used in your browser tab and the search engine snippet in the search results, so completing this task has helped improve your SEO. Nice job. Okay, moving on to the next tip. And before we do, let's head back to the WordPress dashboard. And anytime you want to get back to your dashboard from the front end of your site, simply hover your mouse over your site title in the upper left corner of the screen and click on Dashboard. And this will bring you back to the WordPress dashboard. Next, we're going to change how your name is publicly displayed on your site. And what I mean by that is when we first installed WordPress, WP Engine automatically created your profile's username from the account name that you created during the sign-up, which you can see in the upper right-hand side of your screen. This username is then used as your display name, which is the same name that's shown whenever you author a blog post. So right now it's using your WP Engine account name, which isn't very professional and it kind of looks like you don't know what you're doing. So let's fix that. Okay, in order to change your display name, hover your mouse over Users and click on Profile. And this will bring you to your profile settings where you have the ability to customize certain aspects of your profile, one of them being how your name is publicly displayed on your site. And there are two things I always change. First, I change the nickname and then the display name. So on the left-hand side of the screen next to where it says nickname, I'm going to type the name that I want to use for my display name. And remember, this is going to be used for the byline of all your blog posts, so try to keep it professional. And then directly below that, where it says display name publicly as, simply select the nickname that you just created from the drop-down menu. Then scroll down to the bottom of the screen and click the Update Profile button. And once your profile has been updated, you'll see that the display name has been changed within WordPress. And then every time you author a blog post, this name will be used. Looks a lot more professional. All right, moving on to the next tip, which is to update your Gravatar. Now, if you're new to Gravatars, let me break it down for you really quick. Your Gravatar is a globally recognized avatar, and it's basically an image that follows you from site to site, appearing beside your name whenever you do things like comment on a blog. And even if you turned your comments off, it's always a good idea to have a Gravatar to enhance your online presence and increase your brand recognition. Here's a quick example of my Gravatar. As you can see, the Gravatar displays my image next to my comments, which helps to identify my comments on blogs and web forums. Also, Gravatar is a free service for site owners, developers, and users, and is automatically included in every WordPress account. Plus, setting up Gravatars in your site is very easy to do. You sign up once, upload a picture, connect your site, and anytime you comment on any Gravatar-supported blogs or websites, your Gravatar comes along for the ride. Now, to see if you already have a Gravatar, within your user profile settings in WordPress, scroll down to the About Yourself section, and if you have a blank profile picture, that means you'll need to create your Gravatar profile. So, to get started, click the link below the image, and this will take you to gravatar.com. Then we're creating a new Gravatar, so click the Create Your Gravatar button. And then one thing I want to point out is that you'll need to sign up for a free WordPress.com account in order to create your Gravatar. And without getting into the weeds, WordPress.com is completely separate from WordPress.org, which is what your WP Engine site is using. However, you'll need a WordPress.com account in order to create your Gravatar. Again, don't worry, it's free, and this is the only time we'll be using WordPress.com. So follow the steps to create your free WordPress.com account. So go ahead and enter the email address you want to associate with this account and choose a username and password, and then click the Create Your Account button. And in a few short moments, you'll be prompted to sign into WordPress.com. So go ahead and click the Sign In with WordPress.com button. Next, you'll need to confirm your email address. So head over to your email, and you should see an email from WordPress.com. Go ahead and open it and click the Activate Account button. And in a few short seconds, your email will be confirmed and you'll be taken to your WordPress.com dashboard, which looks very similar to your WordPress.org dashboard, but this is where we'll create our Gravatar. And I know that all these accounts and dashboards can be somewhat overwhelming, but this is the only time we're going to be using the WordPress.com platform. Everything else we do in this video will be through WordPress.org and WP Engine. Okay, so to create your Gravatar, in the upper right-hand side of the screen, click on the little gray avatar. And this will open your Gravatar profile, where configuring it should be somewhat straightforward. So first things first, go ahead and enter your first and last name here, followed by what you want your Gravatar's display name to be, as well as a little bit about yourself. Then go ahead and click the Save Profile Details button. And you should get a notification letting you know that the settings have been saved. And next, it's time to upload your Gravatar photo. So click the Click to Change Photo icon and upload the photo you want to use. I'm using a simple headshot, but it can basically be anything you want. Just try to keep it around 300 by 300 pixels in size. And remember that this photo will be used next to the comments you leave online. So I recommend using a somewhat professional image. Okay, next you have the option of cropping the photo after it's been uploaded, but I like it as is. So click the Change My Photo button. And your new Gravatar photo is good to go and your profile has been successfully updated. Finally, I recommend linking your new website or blog to your Gravatar profile. So under the profile links, click the Add icon and select Add URL from that pop-up menu. Then enter the URL of your blog, followed by a brief description of your site. And when entering the URL of your site, I recommend putting the full URL and domain. So I'm using the HTTPS prefix and then bensdemoblog.com. And then below that, a brief description. And once again, I'm reusing footage for this portion of the tutorial from one of my finance blog tutorials, so that's why I'm saying finance blog here, but you'll obviously want to give a description that best represents your site. And then finally, click the Add Site button. And in a few seconds, your site will be successfully linked to your Gravatar profile. Then, if you want to see your Gravatar profile, simply click on the Gravatar profile link, and you'll be taken to your new Gravatar profile. Now, I know it doesn't look like much, but your Gravatar is a great way to promote your blog and brand online. And when you're interacting online, your Gravatar will follow you, and it's a great way to engage while also linking out to your new website or blog. Additionally, if we head back to our user profile within WordPress.org, under the About Yourself section, you should see your new Gravatar image being used as your profile picture. If you don't see it right now, no worries. It may take 24 hours to show up, but either way, you now have a professional Gravatar profile ready for the world. And since we're here, I recommend updating your bio info as well. This will be used within the author bio and will display along your Gravatar picture at the bottom of each blog post that you author and publish. So go ahead and write a quick little bio. And then one more thing to check before moving on, I want you to make sure that the website field is showing your WordPress URL within your user profile. If it's showing your WP Engine subdomain, I recommend changing it and updating it to your current domain. Alright, that's going to do it for the Gravatar profile, so go ahead and click the Update Profile button at the bottom of the screen. And then you should get a notification letting you know that your profile has been successfully updated. Alright, moving on to the next WordPress setup recommendation, which is Install Recommended Plugins. Now, like I said in the intro, I always try to stay away from adding too many plugins to my blogs, but there are a few plugins that I always recommend adding when starting any type of WordPress site. And if you're new to the idea of plugins, WordPress plugins are bits of software that can be uploaded to your site. And their purpose is to extend and expand the functionality of your WordPress blog or website. And there are literally thousands of plugins to choose from, but to help you along in the process, I've created a Google Doc that lists out and links to each plugin that is recommended for starting a WordPress site. You can access this Google Doc in the video description below by visiting the link titled Recommended Plugins. And that will take you to the list of plugins that we're going to install and use in this video. If you have any issues accessing this doc for any reason, just let me know and I'd be happy to email it to you directly. Okay, so we're only going to be adding a handful of additional plugins, and like I said, I try to limit the number of plugins I use on my blog because the more plugins you have, the more data you're using, and it also opens you up to the possibility that some plugins may not play nice with one another and could potentially break your site. However, the following plugins are essential to running a fast and secure website, and I've tested all of them and they work seamlessly with one another. I should also mention that all of these plugins are free. Alright, so to start adding plugins, go to the plugin management menu if you're not there already by hovering your mouse over plugins and clicking on installed plugins. And this is where you'll manage your plugins, and it's where all of your installed plugins will be listed. And you should see at least 2 pre-installed plugins here that WP Engine has automatically added, the Akismet Anti-Spam and Genesis Blocks plugins. However, we want to add some more plugins to enhance the functionality of your site. So to add a new plugin, you have a couple options. You can hover your mouse over plugins on the left-hand side of your WordPress dashboard and click on Add New, or you can click the Add New button within the plugin management page. Both of these will take you to the plugin repository where you can search through all of the available plugins that you can install. Okay, the first plugin we're going to install and activate is the Yoast SEO plugin. So in the upper right corner of your screen, there's a search bar where you can search and browse through the thousands of plugins that WordPress has to offer. Simply type in the name of the plugin that you're looking for, and we want the Yoast plugin, so type Yoast in the search bar, and then it should be the first one listed. I've used this plugin for years, and it has not only simplified SEO for my blog, but has helped me get on the first page of the search results for various keywords and keyword phrases. Yoast is an essential component to building a strong SEO foundation, and it's by far my must-have plugin for SEO, so I highly recommend you use it too. Alright, so let's go ahead and install and activate it by clicking the Install button, and then the Activate button. And then once it's been successfully installed and activated, you may be taken to a confirmation page where you can begin the plugin configuration process. Now, we're not going to go through the first time configuration setup in this video. However, I highly recommend that you watch my Yoast tutorial that walks you through the configuration process step by step. And I'll link to it in the important links doc in the video description below, but you can also find the video on the Blog with Ben YouTube channel. This video will show you how to properly set up the plugin so that you can start optimizing your site for the search engines. It's not difficult, but it does take about 10 to 15 minutes to do, so either pause this video and watch the Yoast tutorial, or just make a note and come back to the configuration after you've set up your site. Now before we move on, I want to point out this huge SEO warning about blocking access to robots. We're going to address this when we officially launch your site. So if you're seeing this, don't stress, we'll take care of it towards the end of the tutorial. Then the last thing I want to show you before moving on, if we skip this screen, it'll take you to the Yoast SEO General settings. This is like home base for the plugin, and this is where you can access the first time configuration by clicking this tab whenever you're ready. I just wanted to show you how to access it, but again, I walk you through the entire plugin configuration process in my Yoast tutorial, so be sure to check that out before you launch your site. Okay, moving on, let's add our next plugin. So within your WordPress dashboard on the left-hand side of the screen, hover your mouse over Plugins and click on Add New. And this time in the search bar, type the word cookie. And the plugin we want is called the Cookie Yes GDPR Cookie Consent and Compliance Notice. This is crucial ever since the new privacy laws went into effect, specifically the European Union GDPR and the California CCPA laws. Either way, I highly recommend this plugin to ensure that you stay compliant with the always changing privacy law landscape. So let's install and activate this plugin. And there we go. Now this plugin doesn't have a successful installation notice, but you can tell that it has been successfully installed and activated because it's now listed in your plugin management page and it's highlighted blue, which indicates that it's active on your site. Now, like the Yoast plugin, there are some configurations that you'll need to do to this Cookie Yes plugin in order to leverage its full potential. And I have another in-depth tutorial that walks you through the complete Cookie Yes plugin setup process that I'll link to in the important links doc. But again, you can access that tutorial on the Blog with Ben YouTube channel as well. But for the sake of time, we're not going to set up the Cookie Yes plugin in this video, but I highly recommend that you watch my other tutorial so that you can get the most out of this plugin and ensure that you're staying compliant with the data and privacy laws online. All right, moving on, let's add our next plugin. So go ahead and click the Add New button at the top of the screen. And this time type Titan Anti-Spam in the search bar. And the plugin we want is called Titan Anti-Spam and Security. And this will be an added layer of security when combined with WP Engine's backend security. Plus this protects the comments on your blog from spammers. So let's install it. So go ahead and click the Install Now button and then activate it. And there we go. And then they also have a configuration wizard that we're not going to go through in this video, and I don't have a video dedicated to this plugin, but your comments are being protected from spam and bots by the default settings of this plugin. Now I do go into greater detail and show you how to configure this plugin in my How to Start a Lifestyle Blog tutorial. The steps to configure the anti-spam plugin are the same regardless of what type of site you're building, so if you want to see how to tweak the plugin's security settings, visit the link in the important links doc titled Titan Anti-Spam Walkthrough, and that will give you a more in-depth look at some of the settings I like to turn on to help protect my WordPress sites. Okay, moving on to the next plugin. So within your WordPress dashboard sidebar, hover your mouse over plugins and click on Add New. And this time in the search bar, type WP Forms, all one word. And the plugin we want is called Contact Form by WP Forms. And if you're not familiar with WP Forms, they're probably one of the most powerful WordPress form builders on the market. And I'm not just saying that. I've used their drag and drop form builder in my past 5 blogging tutorials, and it truly makes creating forms in WordPress super simple. What used to take me hours literally takes me a few minutes with this plugin. This is a drag and drop form builder, and it's what we're going to use to create your contact and opt-in forms. And I highly recommend installing and activating it. So I'm going to do that really quick. And then you may see a welcome page from the plugin, which is helpful, but like I said, we're going to be using this plugin a little later on in the video, and I'm actually going to walk you through this plugin and show you everything you need to know. So you could skip this for now, and then let's add the final recommended plugin for this video. So hover your mouse over plugins and click on Add New. And this time in the search bar, type the words Child Theme. And the plugin we want is called Child Theme Configurator. And this is what we'll use to create your site's child theme. And if you're new to the concept of child themes, no worries, we'll cover it all a little later on in the tutorial. So let's install and activate this plugin. And there we go. All the recommended plugins for this video are installed and activated. Now this doesn't mean that you can't add more plugins, but for the purpose of this video, these plugins will help you start your WordPress blog or website on a solid foundation. Alright, moving on. Next, let's install your parent and child themes so that you can begin designing the front end of your site. In this section of the tutorial, we're going to go over how to install a free WordPress theme to your blog. Now, the right WordPress theme can go a long way in your blog's success, and this portion of the video will show you how to turn a boring layout into a sleek, innovative, and mobile responsive design. Then once we've installed the parent theme, I'm going to show you how to create a child theme. And if you're new to all this, I know it may sound somewhat confusing, but just know that having a parent and child theme is a necessity if you're going to have a professional WordPress blog or website. Okay, first things first, let me show you how to add a new theme to your site. So within your WordPress dashboard, hover your mouse over Appearance and click on Themes. And this will bring you to your theme management menu. This is where you can add new themes, change your current theme, and search for additional themes, all from this menu. Now by default, WP Engine has pre-installed and activated the Genesis block theme, which, as you can see, is marked as being active. And this means that it's currently being used on the front end of your site. I should also point out that this is the theme we'll be using throughout the video. Then WordPress typically pre-installs some additional themes that are located in your theme management menu. These aren't active, obviously, and depending on when you're watching this tutorial, you may have different additional themes listed here, but either way, this is where all of your installed WordPress themes will be housed. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, let me show you how to add a new theme. And as I mentioned, we'll be using the Genesis block theme throughout the video, but if you want to check out other themes available, you can do so by clicking the Add Theme icon. And this will bring you to the WordPress theme directory, and this is basically where you can browse through the thousands of different themes that WordPress has to offer. These are all free themes. However, some of these themes may offer premium versions that you have to pay for, but they offer more features. Either way, this is where you can browse and preview different WordPress themes. There's also a search bar here where, just like the plugins, you could search for themes by keywords and find specific themes if you know the names of them. Then you have yet another way to add themes to your site within WP Engine. So let's head back to the WP Engine user portal really quick. And what I'm about to show you is specific to WP Engine. This is one of the many benefits that comes with your account, and as a WP Engine customer, you get instant access and support for the 10 best Genesis block editor themes for WordPress. And to access them within your user portal sidebar, click on Add-ons, and then where it says Themes, click the Manage button. And this will take you to the free premium themes that you have access to. Now, we won't be using these themes in this video, but let me give you a quick intro to them and show you how they work. So, if you want to use any of these themes, you'll first need to install and activate the Genesis framework. This is essentially the parent theme, and once installed, you can then install any of these premium child themes. Now, if you're new to the concept of a parent and child theme, a child theme is a theme that inherits the functionality of the parent theme, which in this example is the Genesis framework. That's the parent theme. Then you have all of these child themes that you can basically install on top of the parent theme. Now, we won't be using any of these themes in this video, but it's just really cool that WP Engine gives you these for free. So check them out if you'd like. You can get a demo of each one to see how they work by hovering your mouse over each theme and clicking on Preview. And this gives you a full demo of the theme so you can get a better idea of how it looks and behaves. And these are all built with the Genesis blocks that we'll be using later on in the video. So editing these themes to match your particular brand is super easy. Either way, the fact that these premium themes come with your WP Engine account is pretty awesome. I honestly haven't come across any other web hosts that offer something like this. And just a quick refresher, if you do decide that you want to use one of these themes on your site, remember to install the Genesis framework first by clicking the Quick Install button. Then once it's been installed and activated, follow the same steps and install one of the premium child themes. Alright, so for this video, we're going to be using the Genesis block theme that came pre-installed when we set up our site. It's still a very versatile theme and offers a ton of flexibility when it comes to design and its overall capabilities. But first, we need to create our child theme. So let's head back to WordPress. And now it's time to create the child theme. So let's head over to our theme management menu really quick by hovering your mouse over Appearance and clicking on Themes. Then, like I said, in this portion of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a child theme. Now, the reason a child theme is so important is because it allows you to modify or add to the functionality of your parent theme, which in this example is the Genesis block theme. But using a child theme is hands down the best, safest, and easiest way to modify an existing theme because instead of modifying the parent theme files directly, you can create a child theme and override them within. Now, there are a few ways to go about creating a child theme, but for this video, we're going to be using our trusty plugin, the Child Theme Configurator. The super light plugin makes creating a child theme super simple. Alright, so to get started, hover your mouse over Tools and click on Child Theme. And this will bring you to the settings page for the Child Theme Configurator. And one thing I love about this plugin is that they recently made an update that streamlines the process and makes it super easy to go through and understand. As you can see, they visually walk you through the process and they have numbered circles outlining each step. So step number 1, select an action. And we're going to create a new child theme since this is our first child theme, so make sure that's selected. Then step 2 and 3, you'll want to select the parent theme that you're going to be using to create the child theme and then analyze it. So make sure the Genesis block theme is listed in the drop-down menu and then click the Analyze button to start the child theme process. And once the plugin is done analyzing your theme, you should get a notification and a green check mark letting you know that the child theme is ready to be created. You'll also get a notification letting you know that this particular theme loads additional style sheets. So it's recommended that you create a separate style sheet so you can save and customize these styles. And let's do that right now. So you can leave step 4 as is, but for step number 5, select Separate Style Sheet. And this will allow you to save new custom styles in CSS and combine any existing child theme styles with the parent theme. Again, we're going to be doing this because the Genesis block parent theme loaded additional style sheets. Next, you can leave step 6 and 7 as is, but for step number 8, I recommend checking this box. This ensures that existing menus, widgets, and any other customizations come over. And if this is your first time creating a child theme for this parent theme, it's recommended that you check this box. Okay, so now it's time to create the child theme. So click the Create New Child Theme button. And boom, you now have a child theme. You should see a splash notification letting you know that the child theme appears to be functioning correctly. All right, next it's time to activate it. So let's head back to your theme management menu by clicking on Appearance. Then you'll see that you now have two versions of the Genesis block theme. The parent, which is the active theme, and then the child directly next to it. And this is the theme that we want to activate. So in order to activate your child theme, hover your mouse over it and click the Activate button. And just like that, it's now active, and it's the theme that's being used on the front end of your site. Then, to see it in action, visit the front end of your site by hovering your mouse over your site title in the upper left corner of the screen and clicking on Visit Site. And there it is. The child theme is active, and you now have a theme that mirrors the parent theme. It should look like nothing has changed on the front end, even though on the back end, we're now using a child theme instead of the parent theme. Now, we obviously have some work to do on the design, but nevertheless, you now have a proper WordPress child theme active on your site. Nice work. All right, let's head back to the WordPress dashboard really quick. So hover your mouse over your site title and click on Dashboard. And now the fun begins. It's time to implement your Genesis block template and begin to actually add content to your site. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to use the new Genesis Blocks plugin by StudioPress and create an impressively professional blog and website using what they call collections. And the collections are pre-made templates designed to help you quickly spin up pages, posts, and full sites without having to spend hours piecing together the technical aspects of a WordPress site. These templates come ready-made for you to simply swap out the text, images, colors, or even complete blocks and make them your own. I'm a huge fan of these new collections. Then, within each template, we'll use the various blocks, including the Genesis blocks that come with the Genesis Blocks plugin. And before we start using the blocks and templates, let me show you how you can get familiar with what Genesis Blocks has to offer before you dive in. It's always a good idea to look before you leap, and StudioPress actually has great resources to help you get familiar with the blocks before you start building your site. So, within your WordPress dashboard, hover your mouse over Genesis Blocks and click on Getting Started. And this will bring you to the Genesis Help Center. It's basically loaded with help docs outlining every single one of their blocks. And if you're new to blocks, they're the components for adding content in the new WordPress block editor. There are several blocks available within WordPress, including these Genesis blocks that you can easily add to your poster page and move within a poster page as well. And the Genesis Blocks Help Center lists out all of the blocks that come with the plugin, as well as provide documentation on how to work with each block. Then, as I mentioned a little earlier, in addition to the blocks, we're also going to be using the Collections template to build your site. And if you open the Collections tab, you can learn more about each template. Now in this video, we're going to be using their free template collection called Slate, and StudioPress actually says that this is their most versatile collection. It's perfect for a simple and flexible foundation, and I think you're going to agree once we start building with it. However, they also offer some additional collections, which you can see here, but these are only available if you purchase Genesis Pro. And if you want to learn more about Genesis Pro, just click this tab and explore everything that Genesis Pro has to offer to see if it's a good fit for you. And one thing I will ask is that if you do think that you'd like to purchase Genesis Pro, could you please use my affiliate link, which is blogwithben.com/GPro. I would greatly appreciate the support. Plus, you'll get access to all of the Pro templates and advanced tools. Either way, Genesis Pro is an awesome product if you have the budget for it. All right, now that you have a good understanding of what the Genesis blocks and collections are, let's start building your site, starting with the homepage. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to create your homepage. By default, WordPress uses your blog feed as your homepage, and this isn't bad, but it's definitely not good. What we're going to do is use the Genesis Slate template and create something that looks like this. This is the actual homepage template we're going to be using, and everything you see here can be fully customized to your liking. The new WordPress block editor makes it super easy to edit and configure so that you can make your site unique and adhere to your brand. I should also point out that this site we're going to be building is going to be sort of a hybrid blog, meaning it'll have a homepage filled with content, but we'll also have a separate blog page that will serve as your blog feed. Either way, these templates give you a lot of creative freedom when it comes to how you build your site. But before we start building, there are a few house cleaning tips I recommend doing within your site's pages. So, back at your WordPress dashboard, let's head over to your Pages Management menu by hovering your mouse over Pages and clicking on All Pages. And this is your Pages Management menu. This is where you can collectively review all of the pages that are on your blog and website. Now, WordPress starts you off with a privacy policy page and a sample page. We're actually going to use the privacy policy page, so you can keep that one, but I do recommend getting rid of the sample page. This page is actually live on your site and is used to just give you an example of how the WordPress page layout and features work. So if you don't want the search engines to index this page and send traffic to it, I recommend deleting it. And to do that, simply hover your mouse over the page title and click on Trash. And this will unpublish the page and delete it. Alright, now it's time to create your homepage. This will be the main page of your site, and it's where your primary domain will send traffic when anyone visits your domain. And anytime you want to create a new page, you can either hover your mouse over Pages and click on Add New within the sidebar of your WordPress dashboard, or if you're in the Pages Management menu, you can click the Add New button at the top of the screen. Both will allow you to create a new page. You can also hover your mouse over the plus new link within the WordPress admin toolbar at the top of your screen and select Page from the drop-down menu. All of these options will allow you to add and create a new page with the new WordPress block editor, which is what you're looking at right now. Now, this is somewhat of a new WordPress editing experience that came to be during the WordPress 5.0 update, and it has a drastic effect on how you build and design your pages and blog posts. One of the major differences in this editor is that each section is broken down into a specific type of block. There are image blocks, paragraph blocks, column blocks, and much, much more. And the blocks are a new experience that really give you a lot of creative control over what your blog and website looks like. And you'll get very familiar with the blocks as we begin creating content, but let me give you a quick rundown of the visual editor before we move on. So first we have a field for the title. Then below that is the content section, and that's where you'll add your various blocks of content. Then to the right are the page and block settings. Then in the upper left are some additional editing features where you can add templates, blocks, and even undo and redo changes you've made to your content. It's also how you can exit the editor. If you click that WordPress icon in the very left corner, that will take you back to the WordPress dashboard. Then towards the bottom left are the Yoast SEO plugin settings for the page. And then finally in the upper right corner, again, we have the preview, draft, and publish buttons. This is where you can save a draft of your content, preview your changes before publishing, and then obviously publish those changes, making them live for the world to see. Okay, now that you know your way around the editor, let's start creating content and designing your homepage. So the first thing I'm going to do is give the page a title. You'll need to do this for every page or post you create, and all you'll do is place your cursor where it says Add Title and simply type out what you want the title to be. And since this is our homepage, I'm just going to title it Home. And as you do, you'll see that your page title is also used in your Google snippet, but keep in mind that you can always edit what the snippet says. This homepage title is essentially so that we can keep track of it in the back end of WordPress. Okay, next let's add the template. And if you recall, we're going to be adding the Genesis Collections Slate template. So anytime you want to access the templates, simply click the Layouts icon in the upper left corner of your editor within that toolbar, and this will open the Layout selector. And since we're using the free Slate layout, it should be the only layout collection listed, and clicking on it will open all the different layouts that are included within this collection. And as you browse the layouts, you'll see that there are page sections you can add. These are handy if you want to piece together your page block by block, but if you scroll down, there are full page layouts, which is what we want. And the one I'm going to use for the homepage is the Slate homepage. So go ahead and click on it. And boom, check that out. The layout has been added. Now it puts me all the way at the bottom of the page for some reason, but if you scroll up, you'll get a better idea of what the layout looks like. How cool is that? Plus, all of these blocks can be edited right here within the WordPress block editor. We've come a long way from what the WordPress editor used to be, trust me. This is an amazing feature and will not only save you a ton of time creating content and designing, but the new block editor and templates are easy to figure out and allow you to make some pretty impressive design changes to your site. What used to take hours to put together in code can be done with a few clicks of the mouse here in the block editor and template. It really is great. Now, before we start making changes, I recommend that you remove the title from the home page. And let me show you what I mean. So if we preview this page by clicking the preview button in the upper right corner of the screen, and then select preview in new tab, this will open the WordPress preview environment where you can view your content and changes you've made before publishing them and making them live on the internet for the world to see. And the reason I wanted to preview this page first was I wanted to show you the page title. As you can see, the title home is displaying at the top of the page, and it's really not ideal or best practice for a blog or website's homepage to display the title. So let me show you how to hide this. So let's head back to the editor, and you'll need to make two small tweaks to your page settings. And I want to add that what we're about to do, you'll need to get in the habit of doing for each page you create if you're using the Slate collection template. Just keep that in mind as we're going through these steps. Okay, so if you look in the right-hand side of the editor, make sure that you have the page settings open. If you don't, click the page tab and this will open all of the available settings that are specific to the page. Then where it says template, click the default template button, and from the drop-down menu, select full width. This will remove the large white space that sits at the top of the screen on your homepage and will ensure that the header is flush with your primary nav. If you're confused right now, just take my word for it. You want to use the full width layout when you're using these page templates. Okay, next, check the box next to where it says Hide Page Title. This will remove the title from displaying on the homepage altogether. Okay, so let's preview these changes so you can see how much better the template looks. So click the Preview button again, and then Preview in New tab. And check that out. The title and white space that sat at the top of the home page is now gone and the template looks like a real page. Awesome. Okay, let's head back to the editor and I'll show you how to start editing the content within the template. Okay, so now it's time to start configuring your homepage and making it your own. And one thing I want to point out is that yes, I will be showing you how to edit the blocks and change some things, but this isn't going to be a quote-unquote hand-holding session where I show you exactly what to edit and change. I'm leaving that up to you because you ultimately know what's best for you and your audience. And hopefully these design tips can get you started and help you gain a better understanding as to how to use this template and blocks. So with that being said, pretty much everything you see in this template can be customized right here in the block editor. For example, the header block, which is actually called the advanced columns block, is comprised of other blocks, including a header block, followed by a paragraph block with 2 button blocks. And all this can be edited right here within the WordPress block editor. So all you're going to do is place your cursor where you want to make a change. And let's start with the heading. Simply place your cursor on the text and click on it. And that will open the block settings. You can tell by the editing toolbar that appears above the heading, but you can also see some additional settings appear on the right-hand side of the screen as well. Then to change the text within the block, simply highlight it and delete it and begin typing. Simple enough. And the same thing goes for the paragraph block below the heading. To change that text, you'd follow the same steps we just did and type out what you want it to say. You can even delete it altogether if you'd like. It's totally up to you. Then below that, we have a couple of buttons, commonly referred to as CTAs, which stands for Call to Action. And these are buttons that are here to try to entice your site's visitors to take an action, which is to click on the button. This could lead to a landing page, an opt-in form, a sales page. It's totally up to you. But again, you can easily edit and configure these buttons right here in the block editor. And just like the heading, all you're going to do is highlight the text and swap it out with what you want it to say. So I'll have this button take the visitor to our contact page. So I'll have it say Contact Us. And then I'll change the second button to lead to a membership sign-up page. So I'll have this button say Membership Info. Now again, this is just an example. You're not required to use both of these buttons on your site, but hopefully the creative juices are starting to flow and you're getting some ideas as to how you can use these blocks. I also want to point out that I'm not going to link to these buttons just yet. I'll show you how to create a contact form in just a bit, and then we'll come back and add the link to this button. So that when someone clicks this Contact Us button, it'll take them to a contact page with a form that they could fill out and send to you. Okay, the next thing you can edit within the block is the background image. And by default, the template starts you off with this stock photo, which isn't bad, but since this is a fitness site, I'll definitely want to change that. So to swap out the image, make sure you have the Advanced Columns block selected. Remember, that's what this entire block is called. This is the Advanced Columns block. And then within the block settings on the right-hand side of the screen, click on the Background Image tab. And this will open up the image settings where you can upload a new image to use for the background, among many other things. But first, let's upload a new image. So click the Select Image button, and this will take you to your media library. This is where you'll upload images to use on your site, and it's where they'll be stored. And to upload a new image, simply click the Select Files button and find the image you want to use on your computer. I already have an image file that I want to use, but I recommend using canva.com to create and resize your images. This particular image is a stock photo of people working out, and it's 1200 by 628 pixels, just FYI. Then anytime you add a photo to your site, I recommend updating the title and alt text. This metadata will be crawled by the search engines, and it can help with SEO. So for the title, I'll just use the same title and tagline as my site. Then for the alt text, try to use descriptive keywords to describe what's happening in the image. This is what the search engines will see. And there we go. Then click the Select button, and voila! The new background image has been added. Next, you can get creative with the image settings. For example, you can change the image opacity with this lever. You can also change the focal point of where the image is aligned here as well. Pretty cool. Then let's take a look at the new background image on the front end of the site and preview these changes. So click the preview button in the upper right corner of the editor and click preview in new tab. And it looks great. Super easy, and the end result looks really professional. Next, let me show you how to edit the remaining blocks of content within the template. So back at the editor, the steps to edit the remaining blocks are exactly like what we just did. You'll place your cursor in the block you want to edit and start to make your changes. You can change the text, remove blocks, replace them. It's really your blank canvas to make it your own. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to walk you through the entire process of updating this content within the template, but hopefully you're starting to get the hang of how to make changes to each block so that you can begin to mold the page so that it fits your overall style and brand. Then let me show you one more editing tip before we move on. So let's say you don't like a particular block within the template. Well, you can remove it altogether by simply clicking on the block to select it, and you can tell it's selected by this blue line surrounding it and the toolbar displaying in the upper left corner of the block. Then within the toolbar, click that three-dot icon, and it will open some additional options, one of them being to remove the block. And it should be at the very bottom of that menu. Just click on Remove Advanced Columns, which is the name of this block, and boom, it's gone, and the remaining blocks come together with ease. Pretty cool. Then check this out. Let's say you change your mind and you actually want to use that block. Well, if you look in the upper left-hand side of your WordPress editor, there's an undo and redo option. And clicking these arrows will undo and redo your changes in real time. So let's undo those changes. And then when we scroll down, you'll see that the block has been re-added and you can continue working on that page. All right, so like I said, I'm not going to walk you through editing each block, but you'll obviously want to do that before publishing your changes. And speaking of publishing, one habit you'll want to get into before publishing every page or blog post is to configure the Yoast SEO settings, which will be located here if you've installed and activated the plugin. This is my top recommended plugin for SEO because it streamlines a lot of the technical aspects of SEO and has a lot of great features that can help you boost your page ranking in the search results. Now, I'm going to show you the SEO best practices that you should do for your pages and posts, but if you'd like a deep dive into the plugin and learn every feature that's offered, then I highly recommend that you check out my free Yoast SEO tutorial on the Blog Within YouTube channel. However, for the sake of time, let's just cover the most important things you should do when using this plugin to help boost your site's SEO. Okay, the first thing we're going to configure is the Google snippet. And Yoast has a Google Snippet Editor and Preview, which is what you're looking at right now. And this is what will show up in Google's search results for your homepage, and it's a great opportunity to leverage the plugin to improve your SEO. For example, you can edit the snippet title if needed. By default, the plugin starts you out with what are called snippet variables, but you can change them completely by deleting them altogether and manually typing out your SEO title like so. And one thing to keep in mind that this is only changing how your title looks in the search engine results. This doesn't change the actual title of your page. Now, you'll probably notice the green line moving below your text as you type. This feature helps you stay within the character limit set forth by Google and other search engines and lets you know when you should stop adding content to the snippet by turning red. So for your SEO title, green is good. Below that is the slug, and the slug is your permalink, so whatever comes after the .com on your page will show up here. Next is the meta description, which is the preview text that people will see whenever they search for your content within a search engine. So in the meta description box, simply start typing a preview of your content. You'll want to be sure to use keywords and make it enticing to help improve your click-through rate. And you'll probably notice the orange line moving below your text as you type. This is the same feature as the SEO title field, and it helps you stay within the character limit set forth by Google and other search engines and lets you know when you should stop adding content by turning green. And there we go. Then, as I said, I'm not doing a deep dive on the other settings and features of this plugin, but I highly recommend checking out my Yoast step-by-step tutorial that walks you through the remaining settings so that you can get the most out of the plugin when it comes to your pages and posts SEO. But for now, let's move on and add the featured image. And if you're new to that term, the featured image is the image that visually represents your blog post or page on social media. And it's used in the blog feed if it's attached to a blog post. Now, I used canva.com to create my featured image for this page. I was able to easily size and design professional looking images that allowed me to keep a consistent look and feel. And one question that I get quite a bit is, what size of image should I use for my featured images? And all that can vary from theme to theme, and it also depends on what social channel you're sharing your blog post or page on. But WordPress recommends that you use featured image sizes that are 1200 by 628 pixels, which is what I used for this image. Either way, you'll always want to add a featured image to all of your blog posts and pages. And the way you'll do that is back at the home page. If you look on the right-hand side of the screen, click the Page tab to open up the page settings if you haven't done that already. Then open the Featured Image tab and click the Set Featured Image button. And then for the sake of time, I'm just going to use the exact same image that I already uploaded for the background image of my header for the homepage. But again, this is where you would upload your own featured image by clicking Upload Files and then select Files and find the image you want to use on your computer. But again, I'm going to reuse this image, so I'll click it to select it. Then don't forget about the title and alt text. Again, I know it seems tedious, but it is important. Then once you've filled both those fields out, click the Set Featured Image button. And the featured image has been successfully added to the homepage. Alright, so that's going to do it for the homepage. Then when you're ready to publish it and make your changes live, just click the Publish button in the upper right corner of your editor. And then click the Publish button again. And boom, the page is now live. You should get some notifications letting you know that it's been published, and clicking on either one of them will take you to the front end of the site. But before we do, there's one more thing we need to do, and that's set the home page. And let me show you what I mean. So first, let's head back to the WordPress dashboard by clicking the WordPress icon in the upper left corner of the screen. Then let's visit the front end of the site really quick by hovering your mouse over the site title in the upper left corner of the dashboard and clicking on Visit Site. Then what you're looking at right now is your current homepage. By default, this theme uses your blog's feed as the homepage. So if someone were to visit your primary domain, this is what they would see. However, we want people to land on the new homepage that we just created when they visit your primary domain. And the way to do that can be configured in the back end of your WordPress settings. So let's head back to the WordPress dashboard by hovering your mouse over the site title and clicking on Dashboard. Then within the sidebar menu on the left-hand side of the screen, hover your mouse over Settings and click on Reading. Then from here, find the section that says Your Homepage Displays and change it from Your Latest Posts to a static page. Then in the homepage dropdown, select the home page we just created. I titled mine Home, but select the page you want to display as your home page. This will also be the page that your primary domain directs traffic to. And there we go. Then click the Save Changes button. And once the settings have been saved, let's visit our site and check it out. So once again, hover your mouse over the site title in the upper left corner of your dashboard and click on Visit Site. And check that out. The homepage is now displaying the Genesis Slate template, and the user experience has been improved a ton. You now have a professional looking homepage. Nice work. Now I'm still going to show you how to fine-tune this homepage by changing the colors and adding a logo, but next, let's create your site's pages and add them to your primary navigation menu. In this part of the tutorial, we're going to create your site's pages and primary navigation menu. And if we fast forward to the end of the video really quick, you can see what I'm talking about. So the menu we're going to create is the primary menu that will display the various pages of your site, including a blog feed. And having a primary menu with separate pages allows you to diversify your content, and it helps your visitors navigate your site. This not only creates a better user experience, but it's great for SEO. All right, the first thing we need to do is create the pages that will live within the navigation menu. And for this example, we're only going to have a blog page, a contact page, and a privacy policy page. However, I recommend at least adding an additional about page to that list. But for the sake of time, I'm keeping it simple and just adding those 3 pages to the navigation menu. Okay, so to add a new page, hover your mouse over the plus new icon within your admin toolbar at the top of the screen and click on Page. And this will bring you to the visual editor where we'll follow the similar steps to create the contact page. So the first thing I'm going to do is give this page a title. So place your cursor in the Add Title field and type what you want the page title to be. And this is the contact page, so I'm titling it Contact. Next, let's add a template. So within the toolbar at the top of the editor, click the Layouts icon. And then once again, select the Slate collection. And this time, I'm going to be using the Slate Contact page layout. So scroll down towards the bottom and select Slate Contact. And then once again, for the sake of time, in this video, we're not really going to be focusing on how to edit the content within the blocks. Hopefully you have a stronger understanding of how to edit these templates after we built the homepage, but I do want to update the page layout and hide the page title. So I recommend doing this for every page you create when using the Slate collection layout. So make sure you have the page settings selected by clicking the Page tab on the right-hand side of the screen. Then let's hide the page title, so check that box. Then click the default template button and select full width from the dropdown. Perfect. Now this will be our contact page, so we still need to add the contact form to this page, but in order to do that, we'll need to build the form. But before we do that, I want to build out the remaining pages and create the primary navigation menu. Then after we have the nav up and running, we'll come back and configure the contact form. So let's go ahead and publish this page. So click the Publish button twice. And I should point out that there is actually an option to not show the pre-published checks. This will stop you from having to push the Publish button twice. Just uncheck that box towards the bottom of the screen there if you just want to push the Publish button once moving forward. Okay, next we're going to create the blog page, which will house the blog feed. So let's head back to the WordPress dashboard by clicking the W icon in the upper left corner of the screen. Then to create a new page, hover your mouse over the plus new icon within the admin toolbar at the top of the screen and click Page from the drop-down menu. And the steps are the exact same. So we'll give this page a title, and since it's our blog page, which will have the blog feed, I'm going to title this Blog. Next, let's add our template. So click the layout icon and then select the Slate collection. And we're actually going to be using the About page layout for the blog feed, but we'll make some modifications to it in order to display the blog feed. Again, this is one of the really amazing things about using the Genesis blocks. You can really make these layouts whatever you want. Okay, so let's select the Slate About page layout. There we go, looking good. And we're going to modify this a bit so that it's a blog feed, but first don't forget about the template layout and title, so make sure you have the page settings open. And let's hide the title, so check that box. Then click the default template button and select full width from the dropdown. Next, let's edit the page title and the header, so instead of About Us, I'm going to change this to say Blog. And you'll obviously want to change the subheading text and background image, but I'm skipping that for the sake of time. Now, as I mentioned before, when we added this template, we're going to make some modifications to it so that it will be our blog feed. So let me show you how you can get creative with these layouts. First, I want to add the blog feed. So if we scroll down to the bottom of the template and hover your mouse there, you'll see a plus icon appear. This is how you can add new blocks to the template. And clicking on the plus icon will open a block menu where you can browse and select different blocks to use. And we want the layouts block. Then from here, select the Slate blog posts layout. It'll be in the pages section. There we go. And check that out. We now have an active blog feed on the page. How easy was that? Now, every time you publish a blog post, it will display here. It's currently displaying the only published post you have, which is the sample Hello World post that comes with every WordPress installation. And we'll remove that in just a bit. But first, let's move the feed so that it's not sitting at the bottom of the page. And anytime you want to configure the block layout, you can do so by clicking on the block you want to edit, which we have done. And then within the toolbar in the upper left corner of the block, you should see some arrows pointing up and down. And clicking on these will move the block above or below the current block, essentially changing the order of how the blocks are displayed. And I want to move this up, so clicking the up arrow 3 times will move the blog post feed under the header. Perfect. All right, next I want to change the background color of the blog feed block. So within the block settings, you can open the background color tab and simply change it using these different color swatches. Then another cool edit you could do with this block is change how the posts are listed and displayed within the feed. So if I click on the actual post, this will open the post and page grid block, where if you click that list icon in the toolbar, you could change the feed from grid view to a list view. It's really a personal preference on how your blog posts display in your feed, but that's how you could change it if you'd like. Okay, next I want to remove some of the default blocks that came with this layout, so let's remove this one below the feed, and to do that, simply click on it to select the block, and then from the toolbar in the upper left corner of the block, click the 3-dot icon, and from the drop-down menu, select Remove Advanced Columns, and it's gone. Then I'm going to also remove the block right below it as well, and there we go, we now have our blog page and blog feed. Then feel free to edit the text within the blocks. Again, this process is super easy, almost like editing a Google Doc or email. Just change the text to say whatever you want it to say. And since this is going to entice people to join Ignite Fitness, you'd want this button to link to a landing page in web form. So anytime you want to add a link to a button, simply highlight the text within the button and click this link icon. And this will open a field where all you do is enter the URL of the page that you want to link to. Super simple. Now, I'm not adding a link here for the sake of time, but that's how you'd make these buttons functional. Then again, in the spirit of keeping this tutorial somewhat short, I'm skipping the part where you'd update the Yoast SEO settings and add the featured image to this page, but as you're creating your pages and posts, please get into the habit of always configuring the content's SEO settings and adding a featured image. Those are just best practices that you should do every time. Okay, let's move on and create our last page that will live in our primary navigation menu. So let's publish this page. And then head back to the WordPress dashboard by clicking the W icon in the upper left corner of the screen. And the next page we're going to create is the privacy policy page. Now, WordPress actually starts you off with a sample privacy policy page, which isn't bad. And you could check it out by clicking on Edit within the Pages Management menu. And depending on the strategy of your site and the type of content you share and info that you collect, this privacy policy may not cover everything. So that's why I recommend using a service like freeprivacypolicy.com, and I'll link to that in the important links doc in the video description below. That way you can create and tailor a privacy policy that is unique to your site. Okay, so for the sake of this example, I'm just using this demo privacy policy. So let's publish this page and make it live so we can use it in our menu. And there we go. Then head back to the WordPress dashboard by clicking the WordPress icon in the upper left corner of the screen. And now we have all the pages that I'm going to use for the primary navigation menu. And like I said, you'll probably want to at least create an about page, or maybe you have a different page or category that you want to add to your menu. But either way, when you decide what you're going to use for your menu, this is how you'll create it. So the way we're going to do this is through the customization menu. And to access it, you'll want to navigate to the front end of your site by hovering your mouse over the site title and clicking on Visit Site. Then at the top of the screen within the WordPress admin toolbar, click on Customize. And this will bring you to the customization menu. And anytime you need to make some tweaks to your theme, you'll more than likely do so through this menu. And the layout is pretty user-friendly. On the left is where you have all of the customizable sections of your site. And then on the right is where you can see your changes in action. It's like a live action site builder where you could see your changes happen in real time. It's pretty cool. There are also these little pencil icons next to different parts of your site, and clicking on these will open settings for these particular sections of your page within the customization menu. It's like a fast track to customize them if you don't know where they live within the customization menu. Then towards the bottom there are your preview options. This lets you see how your changes will look on desktop, tablet, and mobile, and this is an extremely helpful tool when you're building your site and making changes. Alright, so what we want to do next is create the primary navigation menu. So first things first, let's open the Menus tab within the customization menu. And then we're creating a brand new menu from scratch, so click the Create New Menu button. And from here, you'll want to name the menu. So in the field provided, type out the name of your menu. And this will be my primary menu, so I'm just naming it Primary. Then below that, you'll want to set the menu location. This determines where the menu will display on your site. And I want it to be the primary menu on the top of the page, so we'll check that box and click the Next button. Then it's time to add the menu items. So click the Add Items button, and then you'll have the option to add custom links, pages, posts, categories, etc. But for this menu, I'm going to start by adding some pages. So make sure the Pages tab is open, and then select the pages you want to display within the nav. For this example, I'm going to have a home menu item followed by all of the other pages that we just created. So I'll select all of the pages here. And as you do, you'll see the menu is being built in real time. Now, you can reorder the menu items on the left-hand side of the screen within the customization menu if you'd like, but I'm leaving them as is for this example. Then just like when we were creating our pages, we'll want to publish these changes so that they are live on the site. So click the Publish button at the top of the screen. And we now have a primary navigation menu. Nice work. Next, I want to show you how you can get creative with your site title and tagline here in the nav. And by default, this theme places it here. But you can change it by clicking either one of those pencil icons, and that will take you to what is called the Site Identity Settings. And you can manually get there as well by clicking this arrow icon 2 times to go back to the customization menu, and then open the Site Identity tab. That's the long way to get here, but again, clicking those pencil icons will take you straight here. And then as you can see, this is where you can edit the site title and tagline that displays on your site. However, what if you want to use a logo instead of this plain text? Well, you can easily do that by using the site canva.com. That's what I use and recommend for graphic design needs. And I'll link to this site in the important links doc in the video description below, but this site is my go-to when I need images, logos, etc. for my sites. And as you can see, I created this logo for my demo fitness site that I'm building in this video. And this particular image that I created is 240 by 58 pixels. And I just used Canva's free graphics to create the flame and then added some styled font for the Ignite Fitness text. Pretty simple, and I really like how it came out. Okay, back at WordPress, to add this logo, within the Site Identity section of the customization menu, click the Select Logo button, and this will take you to your media library. And we're uploading a brand new image, so click the Upload Files link. Then click the Select Files button, and find the image that you want to use for your logo. Then I'm skipping the alt text and title, but you'll want to add those to all of your images that you upload to your site, and then click the Select button. And I'm not going to crop this, so I'll click the skip cropping button. And the logo has been added. However, there's this double text thing going on, so to remove the plain text version of the site title and tagline, simply uncheck this box, and it will remove the text and just show the logo. Perfect, looks great. Next, it's time to add the site icon. And this is the little icon that displays in the browser tab, and it's also used as an app icon in the Safari browser. Either way, it's best practice to always create and use a site icon when you're building a new WordPress website or blog. And one thing to keep in mind when you're doing so is that your site icons should be at least 512 by 512 pixels. This is super small, but you can easily create a professional looking site icon in canva.com. And as you can see, I used the flame logo for this site icon. It's keeping with the brand of the site and will help the user know what site is open in their browser tab. Again, site icons are a best practice, so you should always have one for your blog or website. Okay, back at WordPress, to add the site icon, click the Select Site Icon button and follow the same steps to upload an image by clicking the Upload Files link. And then the Select Files button, and find the image you want to use. Then click the Select button, and boom, the site icon is live. And you can get a better idea of how it's used here in this little preview. And then let's publish this and make it live. So click the Publish button. And then let's exit out of the customization menu really quick by clicking the X in the upper left corner of the screen. And then if you're not seeing the updated site icon right away, give it a few minutes and clear your browser's cache and history, refresh the page, and then it should show up. And then let's check out our new primary nav here. It looks great. Clicking on the menu items will take the user to that specific page, providing them an easy way to navigate and access your content. Okay, next I want to show you how to edit the colors throughout your site. In this part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to update and change the accent color, commonly referred to as your primary color. For example, I'm creating a fitness site where the primary color is yellow. However, the default color used throughout this template is blue. So we obviously want to change that so that it matches the logo. And here's how you'll do that. So the first thing you'll want to do is set the primary color of the theme. So you'll want to revisit the customization menu by clicking Customize in the toolbar at the top of the screen. Then this time open the Colors tab. And we want to change the accent color to the same color of yellow that I'm using in the logo. And the accent color is used in the links and some buttons, so we'll want to match this to the logo color. So within the accent color section, click the Select Color button, and this will open a little color picker tool where you can experiment with different colors. You can also enter the hex color code here if you know it. Simply put the hex color code of the color you want to use in this field, and the accent color now matches our logo's color. As you can see, the menu has been updated with the new color as well, and then when we scroll down to the footer, this may seem small, but the colors match here as well. And it goes a long way in keeping your site professional and consistent. Now, you're probably noticing that the buttons didn't change color. Well, that's because we'll need to do that within the template and block editor. So let's publish these current changes really quick and make them live. So click the Publish button. And then exit out of the customization menu by clicking the X. Then to access the back end of the homepage template, click the Edit Page link at the top of the screen in your admin toolbar, and this will bring you to the block editor. Then all you're going to do is click on the buttons that you want to change, and within the block settings on the right-hand side of the screen, find the Color tab and click Background. And then within the color picker tool, click on Custom and add the hex color code like so. Super easy. Then the only somewhat tedious thing about this process is that you'll have to manually change the colors of each block, but it goes pretty quick once you know how to do it. So I'll update the rest of the template really quick. And there we go, looks great. So anytime you make changes to an already published page, you'll need to click the update button. This is essentially publishing your changes to the page so that they override the current design. Then if we view the page by clicking the view page link, you'll see that our new accent color, or I like to call it the primary color, now matches the logo, and the site's brand is much more consistent. Looks pretty good. And I should point out, please ignore the cookie banner notice on the left-hand side of the screen. I didn't update the plugin in this video, so it's still going to show up in this example, just FYI. Now, you'll obviously want to update the content and blocks within the page to make it your own, but again, these new blocks and templates make it super easy to spin up professional-looking sites in no time. Okay, moving on. Next, let's create a contact form and add it to the contact page. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to add a contact form to your site, giving your audience a way to get in touch with you. And if we fast forward really quick and visit the contact page, you'll get a better idea of what we're going to be making. As you can see, we're going to be using the full width page layout, but we'll be adding a contact form created using the WP Forms Lite plugin. And having a contact form is a great way to keep a line of communication open between you and your audience, and it's also a great way to build your email list. So to add a contact form, let's go back to our dashboard. And like I said, we're going to be using the WP Forms plugin, but if you don't have the WP Forms plugin, be sure to install and activate it before moving on in this part of the video. Okay, so there are a few configurations I recommend making to the plugin's settings before building your form. So within your WordPress dashboard on the left-hand side of the screen, hover your mouse over WP Forms and click on Settings. And this will bring you to the general settings of the plugin where you can change things like the license key, the CAPTCHA integrations, and much more. And I should also point out that we'll be using the free version of this plugin, but I have a full-length tutorial on how to upgrade and use the pro version of the plugin if you're interested. And I'll have a link to that video in the show notes, but you can also find it on my YouTube channel as well. Okay, like I said, there are a few settings I recommend configuring before building your forms. First, I recommend enabling the entry backups. This will save your form entries in WordPress and back them up. So all you'll do here is just flip that switch on. Then click the Enable Entry Backups button, and then wait just a couple seconds and you may get another pop-up, and you can go ahead and close that out. Next, I recommend making your forms GDPR compliant. You'll only have to do this once, but after you make this quick change, all of the forms that you create within the WP Forms plugin will be GDPR compliant. So under the GDPR section, all you're going to do is check that box next to GDPR enhancements, and this will enable the GDPR features for all of your forms moving forward. All right, so that's going to do it for the settings. So go ahead and click the Save Settings button. And you should get a notification letting you know that the settings have been successfully saved. And now it's time to build the contact form. So on the left-hand side of the screen in your WordPress dashboard, or at the top of the screen in the admin toolbar, hover your mouse over WP Forms and click on Add New. Either one of these will allow you to create a new web form. And this will bring you to the various form templates that you can use to build your form. These pre-made templates can speed up the creation process and help you quickly get your forms up and running. But first, let's name this form. So in the field towards the top of the screen, go ahead and type the name of your form. And since this is our contact form, I'm naming it Contact Form. This will help keep track and organize your forms in the back end of WordPress. Next, it's time to select a template to use to build the form. And again, as I mentioned, we're creating a GDPR compliant contact form. So find the GDPR contact form template. And if you hover your mouse over the template, you'll see that there's a Use Template button and a View Demo button, which gives you the ability to view a demo of that form before using it. This is a new feature that allows you to get a better idea of what the form will look like before you spend time building it and adding it to your site. Just wanted to point that out. However, I know what this form will look like, so I'm not going to view the demo right now, but once you've decided on a template to use, click the Use Template button, and that will take you to the form builder. And this is our first time opening it, so it may take a few seconds to load, so just sit tight really quick. All right, so let me give you a quick tour. So if you look in the upper left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that WP Forms has done a good job of breaking the form creation process down into 4 sections. There's fields, settings, marketing, and payments. And by default, the plugin will start you off at the Fields tab, where you can access the various fields that you want to display on your form. Then on the right is the form preview and form builder, and this is where you can see what your form fields will look like as you build it. This is also where you can drag and drop the fields and edit them as you create your forms, and I'll show you how that's done right now. Okay, so for this example, we're creating a contact form that's GDPR compliant, and this form template is pretty much ready to go out of the box. However, there are a few small changes I want to make to the form. So the first thing I want to change are the name fields. I don't particularly need the user's last name, so to edit the fields, simply click on the field that you want to edit, and this will open the fields options where you'll have the ability to configure some of the settings of the field. And as you can see, for the name field, you have the ability to change the label, format, add a description, change whether or not it's a required field, and even add some additional advanced options or conditions to the field. You can play around and experiment with all of these settings, but right now I just want to remove the last name field. I don't need the last name for this form, and I've found that fewer fields the user has to fill out leads to higher conversions. So keep that in mind when you're building your forms. Okay, so under the format section, click on that drop-down menu and select Simple. And the form will update and only require one name instead of the first and last name. Beautiful. Next, and this is a personal preference, but I want to change the actual length of the name and email fields. You could see in the preview that they currently don't span across the length of the entire form. I want them to be flush with the comment box. Again, this is a personal preference, but it's also good to know how to change the length of your form fields if you want. So you can achieve this change under the Advanced Options tab. Then under the field size, select Large, and you'll see the name field span across the entire form. Then I'm going to do that for the email field as well, so click on the email field in the preview to bring up the field options, and then follow the exact same steps. Open the Advanced Options tab, and change the field size to large. Perfect. Okay, next let's go over the form settings really quick, but first save your changes. The plugin makes you save your edits before leaving the form builder, so click the Save button in the upper right corner of the screen. And then next, moving on to the form settings. So on the left-hand side of the screen, this time click on the Settings tab. And from here you have the ability to configure the general, notification, and confirmation settings. All other settings are only available in the Pro version of the plugin, but these 3 things still give you a lot of control over the form. So let's take a closer look at these settings, starting with the general settings, which is the first tab that is currently open. And this is where you can change things like the form name, description, form CSS, submit button text, as well as some additional spam and privacy settings. Now for this video, I'm leaving the general settings as is, so we can move on to the notifications. So go ahead and click the Notifications tab. And this gives you the ability to send out an email every time a user fills out and submits the form. For example, we're building a contact form that will live on a WordPress website. And when someone fills out this contact form, this notification feature will send me an email letting me know that someone filled out the form. This is important if you're trying to drum up business or have people inquiring about coaching sessions or product info, whatever it is. You'll want to know when people fill out the form so that you can quickly reply to them. And the notification settings lets you do just that by automatically sending you an email and notifying you that someone filled out the form. So to keep it simple, I'm actually leaving the default notification settings on and as is. However, you can change settings like the send to and from email addresses. By default, they're sending the notification to your WordPress admin email, but if you want to change it, just remove the admin email smart tag and replace it with your desired email address. Then you can also edit things like the email subject line, from name, email message, etc. And like I said, for the sake of time, I'm leaving the default notification settings as is, but feel free to test them to see what works best for you. Now, you may get this notice alerting you that the current from email address doesn't match your site's domain name. For example, my WordPress admin email address for this site is info@blogwithben.com. That's what I use to sign up for WP Engine, but the blogwithben.com domain that's being used in the email address doesn't match my domain being used for this WP Engine website. However, WP Engine states that it's best practice to use an email address that matches your domain name because it could cause spam issues. Now, I tested this form that we're about to create multiple times, and my entries didn't go to my spam folder. But if you're creating a professional website or blog, you'll probably want an email address to match your domain. And WP Engine has a free plugin to help with delivery issues. You can download it here if you'd like. Additionally, you can easily create an email address that uses your domain in Namecheap. Then to ensure that it matches, just update your WordPress admin email in your WordPress general settings. Again, I didn't have any delivery issues when I tested this form, but just something to keep an eye on when you're creating your forms. Okay, moving on to the confirmation settings. So click the confirmation tab. And this is where you can customize what users see after they submit a form. Here you can easily adjust the confirmation settings to display a success message or take them to another page on your site or redirect them to a completely different domain. Simply select the confirmation type you want to use from the dropdown. But for this contact form, I'm going to use the default confirmation success message, so I'll leave the confirmation type as message. Then below that is a text box where you can edit the actual message the user will see after they submit the form. Again, I'm leaving the default message as is, but you can get creative here and have some fun with different messaging if you'd like. Okay, so that's going to do it for this form. So let's exit the settings by clicking the X button in the upper right corner of the plugin. And you should see the new contact form listed in the forms overview. Next, it's time to add this to our contact page. So let's head over to that page by hovering your mouse over pages and clicking on all pages. Then from the pages management menu, find the contact page, hover your mouse over it, and click the edit link to access the back end of the page. Next, it's time to add the contact form that we just created to the page. And the way we'll do that is with the WP Forms block. Now, you don't have to build your pages exactly like I do in this video, but I do like to give you options to teach you how different things work within the form builder. For example, let's say I want to add the block right below this header. Well, one way to do that is to insert a new block directly below it by clicking on the header block to select it, which I've already done. Then within the upper left corner of the block, click the three-dot icon to open the more options. And then from the drop-down menu, select Insert After. This will give you the ability to insert a brand new block directly after the block that you just selected. And to insert a new block, you'll then click the plus icon in the upper left corner of the editor, and this will open another block menu where you can browse and select the blocks that you want to use. Now, the way I'm going to go about this is twofold. First, I'm going to add a container block, and this will give you the ability to add padding around the form, and you'll see why that's important in just a few seconds. So find the container block and select it. Then within the container block, click the plus icon there, and this will open the block menu again, where this time you'll want to find the WP Forms block. And you can search for it here within the search bar. And there it is, so go ahead and select it. And so far so good. Next, from the drop-down menu, select the contact form that you just created. And then, whoa, it's huge. Well, this is why we inserted the container block first. We can add padding around the form, and this will make it centered within the page content. So first, you'll need to select the container block. And this is kind of a tight squeeze, but click right in between those two blue lines there. And I know it's kind of tedious, but clicking there will open the container block settings where you can adjust the padding so that the form isn't so wide. And what I found that worked was 30% for the padding left and right. So in those two fields, enter the number 30. And check that out, looks much better in my opinion. Okay, next I want to remove the block below the contact form. And if we scroll down, you can see which one I'm talking about. Remember, we're using the About page template here, so this doesn't really mesh with the rest of the content that's on this contact page. So click on the block to select it, and then open the More Options, and select Remove Advanced Columns. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at our changes up to this point. So I'm going to preview the page by clicking the Preview button in the upper right corner of the editor. And then Preview a new tab. And check that out. Our contact form is front and center and the padding looks much better. However, there seems to be a little more padding below the form when compared to the top of the form. So let's add some more padding to the top of the form. So I'm going to head back to the editor. Be sure to click on the container block to select it so that you can open up the settings. And then within the settings on the right hand side of the screen, this time I'm going to add 1.5% padding to the top. There we go. Then again, for the sake of time, I'm not changing the text within the page, but you'll obviously want to update that text to match your contact info. But one thing I will update is the color of the block. So let me change that to this yellow color that we've been using throughout the theme. And there we go, looks great. So let's publish these changes by clicking the update button in the upper right corner of the screen. And there we go. Then let's test this form out really quick. So I'm going to view the page. And the contact page is looking great. Then again, I recommend testing out the form to make sure the lead flow is working and you're capturing leads in your inbox. So let's fill this form out really quick. And then after submitting the form, we get the confirmation message. Then let me show you the notification email that you'll receive. Again, if you recall, we set the notification email to go to my WordPress admin email address. And when I check my email, you could see the notification contains all of the info from the form that was filled out. This is great because you can reply to this notification, and due to how we set up our notifications in WP Forms, the reply will go directly to the email address that was submitted through the form. This is great because it gives you a way to strike when the iron is hot and capitalize on potential leads and business inquiries, since that's what's typically coming through a contact form. And one thing to note is that you may need to whitelist these emails, so check your spam to see if the notifications are going there first, and then whitelist them so that they will hit your inbox going forward. Okay, moving on. Next, let's publish your very first blog post. In this portion of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to publish a blog post. Blogging is a great way to diversify your content offering, and it allows you to publish fresh content on your site. This is a ranking metric that the search engines look for, and it's an excellent strategy for growing your audience. So, let's publish your first blog post. Okay, anytime you want to create a new post, within the admin toolbar at the top of the screen, hover your mouse over plus new and click on post. And this will bring you to the block editor for your blog posts. And I'm sure you're noticing that it's the exact same as the page block editor. And that's because it is. So hopefully you're very familiar with the layout and settings. However, one thing that we'll do differently here is that we won't be using a template layout for the post. Instead, we'll be using the native block editor within WordPress. This is still a great option when it comes to content creation, and it just makes more sense to use this for your posts because blog posts are typically text heavy. And let me show you what I mean. So the first thing we want to do is give our blog post a title. So just like the pages, where it says add title, place your cursor there and type the desired title of your blog post. Now remember, your title is going to be your blog post's headline. And crafting an attention-grabbing headline can be challenging at times, but try to keep it under 70 characters and always implement keywords within each title. Plus, your title should tell the reader what they're going to get from reading the post. And this title, which is listing out tips or how-to titles which tell the reader how to do something, are great examples of a good title because they're straightforward and tell the audience exactly what they'll get from the headline. Okay, next, it's time to start adding our blog post content. So where it says type or choose a block, place your cursor there and start typing your intro. And for this example, I'm going to start with a quick intro of text. So I'm just going to paste some dummy text here as a placeholder, but this would be where you'd introduce the concept of your post or maybe have a quick story to draw the reader in. Nevertheless, it's always a good idea to have some sort of intro before you dive into the rest of your post's content. Alright, so the next block we're going to add is a heading block. Headings are a great way to break up your content and allow your audience to easily skim and consume your blog post content. Plus, it's good for SEO because the search engine bots will use the headings to understand what the post is about when crawling your site. So it's always a good idea to use headings when creating blog content. Okay, to add a heading, follow the steps to add a new block. So click the plus icon. And within the block menu, find the heading block. Then in the heading field, type out your desired heading. And this one will be walking. There we go. Then you'll obviously want to start writing out your content here, but again, I'm just going to paste some more dummy text. Then for the sake of time, I'm going to speed through the rest of this demo post, but hopefully this is giving you a better idea of how I'm structuring the post. I'm just using some headings followed by short burst paragraphs. But feel free to experiment with different blocks of content like images, GIFs, YouTube videos, etc. The WordPress block editor is surprisingly flexible and allows you to create some really cool and unique blog posts. Okay, so that's going to do it for this post. Next, don't forget about the featured image. Every post should use a featured image. This is what shows up in the blog feed and it's what displays when people share your posts on social media. So to add a featured image, within the post settings, open the Featured Image tab and click on the Set Featured Image button. Then upload the image you want to use and you'll click the Upload Files button and then the Select Files button and find the image that you want to use on your computer. And then don't forget to add the alt text and title to this image and then click the Set Featured Image button and there we go. Alright, next let's assign our categories to this post. And if you're new to categories, a category is a group of related blog posts that are about similar subjects. And when you create a blog post, WordPress lets you add it to a particular category. Bottom line, whenever you create a category, it makes it easier for people to find your content. This is not only a cool feature, but it's a great user experience as well. Your readers will appreciate the convenience of not having to search through your entire blog to find relevant posts. So in order to create and add a new category, within your post settings, click on the Categories tab. And this is where you can create and add new categories for your blog posts. And we haven't created any categories yet, so we'll need to add a new category. So click that link and then type out the name of the category you want to associate with this blog post. And I'm going to name this category Low Impact. Then click the Add New Category button. And our category has been created and attached to this post. Next, don't forget about your Yoast SEO settings. Feel free to edit your search engine snippet and set a keyword here. And again, for the sake of time, I'm skipping this, but you'll want to get in the habit of at least checking these settings to ensure that your post is optimized for the search engines before publishing. Alright, so that's going to do it. So let's preview this really quick and see what it looks like on the front end of the site. So click the preview button and then preview a new tab. And it looks great. I actually love the simplicity of this theme because it allows the reader to focus on reading the content. Love it. Okay, so let's publish this and make it live. So back at the editor, click the Publish button. And the post is now live. Alright, so let's check out the blog feed and see what this looks like. So let's head back to our site. So in the upper left corner, click the site icon. And then let's visit the front end of the site. So within the upper left corner of the screen, hover your mouse over your site title and click on Visit Site. Then let's go to the blog page to check out the blog feed. And there it is. The blog feed has been updated with the new post and fresh content is now being published on the site. Now, the Hello World demo post is still displaying and you definitely want to get rid of that if you're still seeing it. So let me show you how to delete it. Okay, let's head back to the WordPress dashboard by hovering your mouse over the site title in the upper left corner of the screen and clicking on Dashboard. Then navigate to your Posts menu by hovering your mouse over Posts and clicking on All Posts. Then from here, hover your mouse over the Hello World post and click the red trash link. And this will delete the post, unpublish it, and it will remove it from the blog feed. All right, next, let's make some quick design updates to the blog page so that it matches the rest of the site. And let me show you what I mean. So if we visit the site again and navigate to our blog feed, you'll notice that the background color of the bottom block is still blue. So let's change that so that it matches the rest of the site. So within the admin toolbar at the top of the screen, click Edit Page. And just like our other pages, select the block to edit. And within the block settings, open the background color tab and select the color you want to use. And then I'll update the button color as well. And publish the changes. And look at that. Just like that, our colors are now in line with the rest of the site. Okay, moving on. We have a few SEO house cleaning tasks to take care of, and then you can officially launch your site. All right, we're almost there. Your blog or website is a few minutes away from officially launching. But before we finish up, there are some SEO tips that I want to share with you before you launch. The first has to do with allowing bots to crawl your site. By default, WordPress hides your site from the search engines, and that's because it isn't optimized for the search engines when you're just starting to build it. However, now that you have a search engine friendly site that is structured correctly and has content, you're ready for the search engine bots to crawl your site. So one way to let the search engines know that your site is ready can be configured in your WordPress dashboard. So let's head to the WordPress dashboard if you're not there already by hovering your mouse over the site title in the upper left corner of the screen and clicking on Dashboard. Then from here, within the sidebar, hover your mouse over Settings and click on Reading. Then towards the very bottom of the Reading settings, you'll see an option for search engine visibility. And like I said, by default, WordPress discourages search engines from indexing your site, so to encourage them to crawl and index your site, simply uncheck that box. Then click the Save Changes button, and we're good to go there. The next tip to enhance your site's launch is to verify your domain with Google. Specifically, I'm going to show you how to add your web property to Google Search Console and then verify your domain so that Google knows you're the owner. This is important for a couple reasons because once you're verified, you'll have access to Google search data, you can submit your sitemap to Google, and you'll have a positive impact on your site's presence within Google's search results. Google is by far the biggest and most used search engine in the world, so by having a Search Console account and verifying your domain, it'll help you monitor your blog's traffic, optimize your ranking, and make informed decisions about the appearance of your site's search results. All right, the first step in the process is to sign up for a Google account. And if you don't have a Google account, I've included a link in the important links doc that you can access in the video description below. And I'm not going to walk you through the sign up process in this video, but just know that your Google account is free and it's fairly straightforward to get started. Then once you have your Google account, it's time to set up your Search Console account. And I've included a link to Search Console in the important links doc as well, and clicking on that link will take you to the Search Console homepage, which is what you're looking at right now. And to get started, simply click the Start Now button. And you may get a different pop-up message than me if you're starting from scratch, but no worries. The only thing we're worried about is adding a web property to this Search Console account. So if you're not seeing what I'm seeing right now, in the upper left-hand side of your screen, click where it says Add Property. Then from the drop-down, click Add Property again. And you'll be asked to select your property type, and without getting into the technical weeds, I recommend selecting the domain option. This option aggregates all protocols, subdomains, and paths of your domain. So in the field provided, add your domain, and be sure just to add the domain. Don't add HTTP or HTTPS or www, just add the domain like so. And for this example, I'm verifying blogdemotimevid.com. And once you've entered your domain, click the Continue button. And then you'll see a pop-up with some steps outlining what you need to do. And if you're brand new to this, it may seem like a lot, but no worries, I'm going to walk you through the entire process step by step. So the first thing we're going to do is copy the TXT record generated by Google. And you could see it there in step number 3. So go ahead and click the copy button. And you should get a notification letting you know that it's been copied. Next, you'll need to add this to your Cloudflare DNS settings for your domain. So let's head over to Cloudflare and make sure you navigate to the DNS records. Then from here, you're going to add a new TXT record. So click the Add Record button. And the steps are pretty similar to when we created our CNAME record a little earlier. From the drop-down, select TXT. And you may have to scroll down a little bit to find it, but we want the TXT record. There it is. Then for the name, use the @ symbol. Then leave the TTL value, which means time to live, at auto. Then in the content field, paste the record that you just copied from Google Search Console and click the Save button. And just like that, you have a new TXT record. This is what Google will use to verify your domain. Alright, next let's head back to Google Search Console. And then within that pop-up, click the Verify button, and Google goes to work on verifying your domain. It may take a few minutes or so, so just sit tight while it works. And in a few moments, you should get this green notification alerting you that ownership of your domain has been verified, and you can now harness the power of Google Search Console. Now, if you didn't get this success message, but you got a red error message stating that ownership verification failed and that they only found the SPF record, don't worry, give it about an hour and try again. Then once you've successfully verified ownership of your domain with Google, head over to your Google Search Console account for this web property. And again, you can get there by clicking the Search Property drop-down in the upper left corner of the screen and selecting the domain that you just added. And that will bring you to your Google Search Console dashboard. Now, I recommend clicking on the Learn More link from this welcome pop-up and following along with Google's intro. They do a good job of showing you around the platform and helping you get familiar with it. But for the sake of time, I'm skipping the onboarding, so I'll close this really quick. And welcome to your Google Search Console dashboard. This is home base for your domain within Google and is a great place to monitor Google search data, submit your sitemap to Google, do keyword research, and much more. Bottom line, this all has a positive impact on your site's presence within Google's search results. Now, you're not going to see any stats or data right off the bat, but after the Google bots crawl your site and process the data, you'll be able to access a lot of useful information from the Google Search Console. Additionally, I've put a link in the show notes titled Getting Started with Search Console that can help you out regardless of your role and expertise. So, getting started with the ins and outs of Search Console never hurts. And speaking of Googlebots crawling your site, the last tip to ensure a successful launch is to create and submit your sitemap to Google. So, let's head back to your WordPress dashboard really quick. And the last thing we're going to do before you officially launch is create an XML sitemap and submit it to the search engines. If you're unfamiliar with what a sitemap is, it's basically an easy way for you to inform search engines about pages on your site that are available for crawling. A sitemap is a file where you can list the web pages of your site to tell Google and other search engines about the organization of your site content. Search engine web crawlers like Googlebot read this file to crawl your site. Luckily, the Yoast SEO plugin auto-generates an XML sitemap for you that you can access within the general settings of the plugin. So, to access your sitemap, within your WordPress dashboard, hover your mouse over Yoast SEO and click on Settings. And this will bring you to the new and improved Yoast settings menu. And as you can see, they've made some major adjustments to the interface that completely rethinks how users interact with it. I'm actually a big fan of this because you no longer have to click on multiple tabs to access various pages of settings. And speaking of that, in order to access the XML sitemap settings, scroll down to the API category. It'll be at the very bottom of the page. And then the one we want is the XML sitemaps card. Now by default, it should be turned on, but if it isn't, just flip that switch to enable it. Then to access your sitemap, simply click the View the XML sitemap button, and this will take you to your site's XML sitemap. Now, it doesn't look like much, but trust me, this is very important to your site. Next, we want to check the validity of the sitemap. So, copy the URL of the sitemap in your browser. So I'll highlight it and then click Command-C on my keyboard. Then head over to xml-sitemaps.com, and I'll put a link to this in the important links doc in the video description below. Then from here, within the primary nav, click on the SEO tool menu item. Then within the Validate XML section, click on that Validate XML sitemap link. Then simply paste the sitemap URL that you just copied in the field provided. Click the Validate Sitemap button, and the tool will check if your sitemap is formatted correctly. And success, it is. No issues detected. Perfect. Now remember, this doesn't automatically guarantee that your site will be on the search engine results. You still have to submit the sitemap to the search engines. This is different for each search engine, but the most common search engine is by far Google, and the way to notify Google is through your Google Search Console. So head back to your Google Search Console dashboard. Then from here, access the Sitemap section by clicking on Sitemaps in the sidebar. Then where it says add a new sitemap, simply paste the URL that you just copied from Yoast a few moments ago and click the submit button. This will ping Google and let their search engine bots know that your site is ready to be crawled. And then you may get a pop-up. You can go ahead and click Got It to close this out. And you can see here that the sitemap has been successfully submitted. And congratulations, your site is officially launched. You can now begin sharing it with your social channels, your email lists, your friends, family, and anyone else who you think would benefit from your content. Also, take a look at the post-launch tips in the WP Engine blog roadmap ebook. It's the next to last page, and it lists out some helpful tips and resources on getting started with email marketing and blog monetization. Either way, you should be very proud of how far you've come. Again, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be a part of your journey, but it's only the beginning. Now it's time for you to create content and implement the lessons that you've learned in this video to begin to grow your brand, audience, and revenue. And I wish you the best of luck with your new WP Engine site, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or need some additional assistance with your site. I'm always happy to help. So that's going to do it for this video. If you found it helpful, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Blog with Ben YouTube channel. Also, now that you've started your blog, check out these two videos on email marketing and blog monetization. They'll help you grow your audience and earn a passive income with your blog. And as always, your support means a great deal to me and my family, and for that, I thank you. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.